guy too.
All right, y'all, we're live. It's Thursday at 10 Eastern and 7 Pacific. Actually, let me put that link in there.
We are posting our links everywhere so that everybody can join us on this journey to commiserate with and also bring awareness to the ongoing fuckery of this administration. And this week, no change from the last in terms of the amount of coverage that we have and topics. We're going to start with the USS Abraham Lincoln, not because it's necessarily the worst, but because it's awful and everyone should know about it. And also because maybe they're sending reprieve. So hopefully,
let's hope.
So we'll start with the good news that even though we have an aircraft carrier in the Middle East that's been there longer than any other ship in contemporary history, right? Its deployment they've been abroad, they've been at sea since December of 2025. That's the last time anybody set foot in port, which means they've been sailing around or just sitting in most instances because of the precarious.
We have a couple of clips. So let's. I'm trying to think which one's better to start with. Let's show because they're both. Let's start with this one. Let's start with this one.
Okay. Navy ship has been at sea for 200 days straight.
Oh no! Okay, we're already starting.
Oh no!
Hold on a second.
That's the thing. It started so nicely this week. I knew there had to be something.
Here's what we know. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal sent a letter to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other U.S. Navy officials Wednesday expressing concern about the conditions on board the USS Abraham Lincoln, which has been deployed for more than 250 days due to the war in Iran. Around 200 family members of the 5,000 sailors and Marines on board told Navy leaders at a town hall meeting last week that their loved ones had exhibited deteriorated mental and physical health as the ship's conditions worsened after 9 months without returning to land. Reports from Stars and Stripes and the Navy Times, two prominent U.S. military news outlets, say that multiple crew members made attempts to jump overboard. Blumenthal's letter cited numerous reports of shortages of basic supplies, water contamination, plumbing issues, and disruptions in the mail system. Families at the meeting described moldy showers, broken toilets, no hot water for weeks, and meals that came down to half a cup of rice and 2 tortillas, according to California Rep. Mike Levitt. One family member reportedly stated that the ship's own doctor warned they needed to reach port soon or people are going to start losing their minds. The U.S. Navy denied the allegations in a statement to CNN, claiming that they have not observed an increase in suicidal ideations or attempts aboard the ship. Blumenthal wrote that the Defense Department owes the service members on board not only adequate supplies, maintenance, and support during this deployment, but a sustainable force generation model that does not rely on repeatedly extending sailors and ships to meet persistent operational demands.
So here's the thing. I mean, we have service members living in squalor, and the thing that really I haven't seen reported on much is there is a budget for this, and Pete Hegseth is just not releasing it. And that's what's really just, I mean, the whole thing's disgusting, but that's particularly egregious. And, you know, when you think about like, what's the biggest budget we have, it's for defense. And we're not even paying to keep our soldiers, our military folks in decent condition, and they don't deserve this. I mean, it's insane. And then we have, you know, reports of people that are suicidal.
The jumping off ship thing really bothered me because I have a friend that I went to high school with that signed up for Navy service and was on a sub for a really long time and eventually had to leave the military because of the mental health issues that he had having to do that. And so I know how hard it is under normal circumstances, right? Not even when you don't have food, not even when you don't have basic supplies. Like these people were going to the store on ship to get like their toothbrush and their soap and things like that. And they were running low. They don't have the supplies because they're not intended to be out this long. That's not typical. It's not expected. They've had to transfer their bank accounts to their parents because they were told, we don't know when you're coming back. It's not just that it kept getting extended. They were being communicated with, or at least they were hearing that you might be there for as long. Don't plan on coming home. Like don't even plan on coming home. So, you know, Pete Hegseth out on this apology minimization tour, trying to pretend like it's not that big of a deal, but that's not what the military service members thought, right? Like that's not what the sailors are hearing. Right. So that's a big problem. And then, of course, the fact that you just mentioned there's appropriations for this. Like, where is this money going? What's it doing?
And that report was probably a little bit premature because at least one sailor did go overboard. Now, there is some question as to whether he jumped or whether he otherwise went over, but he was overboard. He was in the open sea for about an hour. He was rescued. He is okay, thankfully. But there are also a bunch of texts between he and his spouse, and I think he's got a 5-month-old child, so he's been out longer than this child's been born.
That's crazy.
Showing that he was really having problems because of the length of the deployment and the conditions under which they were serving.
I mean,
and I think it's worth mentioning too.
That's a good point. Sorry, that people have missed births of their children. They were supposed to be back in time for, right? Like this is,
Right.
we understand that when you commit to these deployments, you're going to be gone and things can happen. But this has been extended multiple times, like well beyond that. And so these people were planning on being home and have lives and things to get back to, and they've missed probably at this point, not just births, but funerals and all kinds of things. That's just unconscionable.
And
And
after
And so
For
to
what?
add to what you were saying, Adam, he may have been successful, but he wasn't the only one. Like there were other attempts and they just
Right.
weren't successful. And to put it in perspective, like an aircraft carrier, it's not just a boat. Like an aircraft carrier is like 250 feet tall from the hull to the mast. So it's like a multi-story building. I don't know where he jumped from, and true, it is water, but that's no joke. So, I don't know.
They said it was about a 60-foot drop from where he went overboard.
Here's
Right
a clip that tells more of the point of view of the families. Watch that for a sec.
Sailors and Marines facing horrific conditions on an aircraft carrier that's deployed to the war in Iran confronted the acting Secretary of the Navy at a fiery town hall last week. That's according to 2 sources who attended the meeting who I spoke with. They told me about things like non-operational toilets, moldy showers, and the ship's store lacking basic hygiene products like toothpaste, soap, and deodorant. The Lincoln's deployment appears to be extended for a second time, and they just hit a modern-day record in the Navy for the most continuous days at sea, topping 200 days. Many of the family members who spoke up at the meeting were crying about the lack of hygiene products on board, and they say that they're also really worried about the fact that these long hours with very little breaks could lead to exhaustion, which could potentially lead to accidents. At times, the family members were crying in the meeting, saying that they were really worried about the fact that their loved ones were facing food shortages and also shortages in basic supplies. At one point, a woman actually said that she found it difficult to be proud of her husband's service because he had actually been questioning the mission after he had seen several news reports about innocent civilians being killed in Iran. Her comment was met with applause from the audience. Now, Navy leaders said that they're planning on sending the USS Theodore Roosevelt, another aircraft carrier, in the region to relieve the Lincoln, but they couldn't give a definitive timeline about when that would happen or when the Lincoln would come home. But they did say that they're committed to improving the conditions on the Lincoln while they continue to fight in this war that has no clear end in sight.
And I just want to say we've been talking about the Lincoln, or that's what we've been hearing about, but it's not that isolated. And the other thing in that video and others I keep seeing is kind of the Secretary of the Navy is the one that's, in the hot seat. It really should be Pete Hegseth. He's the one holding up the funding.
Hold on, because that report reminded me of something that I had forgotten. We do not have a confirmed Secretary of the Navy.
That's
They
right. We have an
fired
acting.
him a couple
Yeah,
of
He's
months
acting.
ago.
that's
He's
right.
acting.
It's acting.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So this might piss y'all off, and then we will move on. Watch Pete Hegseth addressing this.
Completely misrepresented. Listen, we make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment. Some deployments are longer than others, and I have more respect and gratitude for those sailors than anybody. What they do in those high seas and those austere conditions with less port calls, it's incredible. I mean, Americans don't understand what it's like to do that. So as someone who's not been on a ship like that, but been on long deployments, I feel it. I want them home as soon as everybody else do. I want folks rotated as quickly as possible. I want the best for them. My commanders know that. Our service secretaries know that. The president expects that. And so to that crew and to all those crews, we're going to do everything we can for you. And we are so grateful for their dedication of that crew and others. They've held the line for the country, and they've done a fantastic job.
What do y'all think of that?
This just shows the lack of planning of the entire war, because you have Trump saying how many dozens of times now that we've won, that there's been a peace deal, that we're going to leave, that the strait's open. This was never planned for this long. You had reports coming out in April of the crew members not having enough food. So this has been a known quantity for months. And they thought
it was going to be one and done. They thought they were just going to go in. Iran was going to surrender. He was going to liberate the folks in Iran, and we'd be out, just like he tried to do with, Venezuela. And that was a huge miscalculation. And we are nowhere close to winning. I don't know what the definition of winning is here, because he keeps talking about nuclear, preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon. We don't even know what the hell they're doing. And they control the Strait of Hormuz, which they didn't control before. I don't think that can be said enough. So we are in a worse position. They are in a better position, although thousands of Iranians have been killed. So,
the longer this goes on, the better Iran looks on the global stage. They are doing a magnificent job of PR in that they are not engaging with us in an offensive manner. If we hit them, they're hitting back, and then they're just waiting. And they have nothing to lose in this in terms of what Trump set out to do. There is no way Trump walks away from this with a victory in any sense of the word, because he didn't plan on what his goals were from the beginning. So Iran just has to wait us out. And they don't think in terms of midterms or the next election. This is a regime that is going to think in terms of generations and centuries. They'll wait. They have all the time in the world to wait.
And someone in my comments
Trump isn't a patient man. He's flipping out behind the scenes from what I hear. So
that's the thing. Someone in the comments said that there's been 7 murders aboard, along with injuries. Now, I haven't heard anything about that, but you got to figure that if it's a vessel that size with that many active members, that there likely have been some injuries aboard, or like maybe a death that's accident. I don't know. I had never thought about the fact that there could be someone that died at sea, and like what's happening there. Like I assume they're getting, I don't know. Are they? What's happening?
So much respect to service members who are especially serving on aircraft carriers and submarines. Those are like 2 of the toughest environments there are. You're isolated. Air Force carriers or aircraft carriers are super loud, so you don't get proper sleep. You're working 24 hours, 24/7. It's grueling work, and the fact that they are being treated like this, they can't even have proper food. It's reportedly hot. They're serving in, it's not like normal, air conditioning. I'm complaining. I got my house was in the 80s before I turned on the air. So this is like unbearable and no end in sight. And I don't blame those poor families for crying and carrying on, because they want, this is not what they signed up for.
But that's a really big deal, because they don't do that normally, right? Like it's like these are not people that just come up and complain like when things get a little challenging. I mean, there is like a full-on code, and for them to be going public is a huge deal. So that also concerns me, because that means it's worse than even we can imagine at that point, if they've been moved to do this. And
there's also fear of retribution here. I mean, we're talking about the
and with this
Department
administration,
of War.
With
What's
this
that?
administration, that's a real fear. Like that's not even like the normal concerns. This is like legitimate, right?
Pete Hegseth is more concerned about like low T levels and shit, and masculinity and all these other things. This is just he is so the wrong man for this job. All right, we're gonna move on.
Yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
yeah, okay. No, I was just saying that I in my video said that they will escalate a conflict or go to war, like with the capriciousness of going to brunch. Like these people, you can't put people who don't know how to plan and lead in situations like that where you're just gonna like throw volley like and run into conflict at every turn because you're so excited for it. Like that, you got to have someone that knows what they're doing. He's the last person that should be doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we are going to change pace here. Totally off topic. I'm going to play a video and see what y'all think of this because I feel like this was hitting my algorithm a lot the past couple weeks.
Meat is now federally cleared to sell in the US, but the ones funding it are not the ones you'd expect. This is meat grown from animal cells in steel tanks. No farm, no slaughter. Bill Gates is on the cap table along with Jeff Bezos' Earth Fund. But it's not just tech billionaires. Cargill and Tyson, 2 of the 4 corporations that already control most of America's beef, have invested too. The same companies behind industrial feedlots are quietly betting on the thing that's supposed to replace them. 7 states, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, Texas, and Indiana, have banned or paused lab-grown meat to protect conventional agriculture. In Florida, selling it is a crime, a second-degree misdemeanor that can cost a food business its license. Now, this is expected to change as companies are racing to scale up and reach grocery store shelves. So watch out for a new meat you've never heard of that could be sitting next to the real thing. But when it gets there, they won't call it lab-grown. On the label, they quote it as cell-cultivated. And the USDA still hasn't finalized the rules for how these products have to be labeled. Labels are often used to obscure the truth, but look for things that hint at lab-grown, visual signals of gas bright red meat, and or clear signs that is product of the USA.
So I don't eat red meat for one, but if I did, I wouldn't eat that shit. And I think that's acceptable if you're taking a trip to Mars and like this is one of your only options and you have to have meat. But I am not interested. Like, there's no way this is legal in Europe. They have better quality of food. They don't allow genetically grown hybrid
GMOs.
Food. And this is like in a laboratory. I was so shocked that this was actually in the marketplace because I remember seeing like news stories about this is coming, and it seems so crazy to me. And I thought this is years, decades away, and it honestly is terrifying. So if that wasn't enough for y'all, well, first of all, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
The Pennsylvania Senate has a bill by a Republican that is the same idea as those other states and with the same rationale that to protect the agriculture business within the state. I think you need to think about this.
What about protecting humans? Like, we don't know what this is going to do to your intestines.
So I view that kind of sentiment as in the same vein as people like anti-vax, in that I am not in a position to understand the science of it. I will need to look into it more. But from a practical standpoint, one of the major contributing factors to global warming is methane. And it's methane from animal production for human consumption. And so if this could be a method to satiate the meat that needs to be on the market, then maybe that is a viable option. As we have third world countries coming into more economic prosperity, they want more meat, and that is going to exacerbate the problem of the environmental impact of farming for meat. You have the same kind of argument with the countries that are developing, saying, oh, you want us to stop burning coal after you burnt coal for centuries and got to your economic position? So the same argument is going to be said for this. Wait a second. So we now want to eat beef, but you're telling us we can't because you ate it for centuries and you messed up the environment? So, and culturally, I would view it as the same as there are some cultures that eat insects regularly. And that is one of the things that is another viable option for protein. And it is a cultural construct that we have because we grew up that's not what we have done. So how is that any different than thinking about eating a crayfish or a lobster that is in the same area? So I am not going to discount this out of hand. it seems like if this is done properly, this might be a viable option to allow for food production for the planet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just don't know what kind of I don't know enough about the testing that they did. I just don't like the idea of anything lab grown in the way of protein personally, unless it's like organs. I think that's something like life-saving things. This is optional. You don't have to eat meat. And here's the other thing: if you're really concerned about methane, I think that's the one thing that like makes me think, well, okay, I get it. But if you're really concerned about methane, just cut down on your beef. If you do two days a week instead of 7, that reduces methane. Eat chicken.
Should be doing
turkey,
2 or less a week.
Yeah.
Now you're one of those communists that trying to take away my burgers, aren't you?
Listen, my grandparents were beef farmers, so like I'd be the last person, right? They had cattle and oranges, but I'm telling you, even as people who grew up with a freezer full of it because it was free, we only had it 1 to 2 times a week because my parents moderated how we ate it, and that was hard for them because they were poor teachers, and this was free meat, like so it was like free. Now beef is more expensive, and that was the funny thing when I reported on the beef recall. Recently, people were in my comments being like, "Oh, saved again because I'm too poor to be able to afford to eat in this country." And at this point, like it really is moving.
Is this more expensive? Do
It
we know
is
if this
now,
is more
supposedly.
expensive?
So
here's the thing
regular
too.
beef is
They're
now.
not. They
The
don't have to
prices have gone up.
label it properly. Unless it's said like.
The prices of regular beef have gone up because of the tariffs, right? Because of the prices with that. And I think that the supply chain was affected. I don't know about this. I just know regular beef had gone up. And so the recalled meat that had come in because it missed the port check, and that was the recall for it because it could potentially have outbreaks of salmonella, listeria, whatever. That news was just because it had missed a port check, and I don't know where that beef was headed to. I don't remember. It's in my it's in my threads and Twitter somewhere. You can find it. Good luck, Godspeed. I was like, I'm eating air now because we can't have jalapenos, we can't have cilantro, we can't have blueberries, we can't have lettuce, we can't have meat. I mean I can because I go to a butcher, but I pay more specifically to go to a local butcher that sources locally. So they list all of their farms and we know all of that. But we also eat a lot of vegetarian meals every week because of the fact that that's like an intentional choice for us to have meatless meals.
I just think things should be really clearly labeled when you're shopping, like not the little underhanded switcheroo. Yeah. And I think that's what's happening with this lab grown shit. It doesn't say lab grown. And it really should. Like you should have a choice. You might pick it up and like, that's true. Well, this looks pretty. Like, okay, so now if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't enough, here we go.
Grown salmon may already be at your favorite restaurant. In 2025, Wild Type became the first company to receive FDA clearance for cultivated seafood. It's grown from real fish cells inside steel bioreactors, but the finished product isn't pure fish. It's blended with plant-based ingredients to recreate a real fillet. Even the pink color comes from beta-carotene, not the ocean. It's on menus in 5 U.S. cities, and there is no federal requirement for a restaurant to tell you the salmon on your plate was grown in a lab.
I have real problems with that. I just don't. I'm paying to go out to a restaurant, and if I order salmon, I want the real thing. Like I want.
If it's you should be ordering wild caught anyway. But okay. So here's my thing: is I don't actually eat seafood, so like just full disclosure on that. And I think that everything should be transparent. But I also feel like if you're opposed to data centers or rather you want very significant regulation for AI and data centers, then you also need to be open to the ideas of food being grown this way, because it not only is going to be able to feed more people, but ultimately would also maybe be more environmentally sustainable. So I agree with Chris on that front. However, I also know we live in capitalism, and I know that nobody's doing things benevolently, right? Like no one's out here just like, oh, I'm going to run this $1 billion company for fun and to help you. Like, right. They're making money. So they should be regulated, and there should be transparency around things like this. Like there should be investigations. Like this shouldn't just be like, oh great, here, go ahead, put some fake salmon on my plate. Like there needs to be some awareness for consumers. And this is, by the way, as I say every week, the point of government. Like it's supposed to protect you. It's supposed to regulate things like this, or at least require
I'm sorry.
transparency.
I'm sorry. We have the abundantly capable and always level-headed RFK Jr. running our health apparatus.
That's why also
we
you
are
can't
in
trust
great shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally fine.
Grow your own fish,
everything's
folks.
fine. Grow your own
Butcher
fish.
your own cow.
Start your own koi fish pond in the backyard. Oh boy.
Listen, my daughter went to school at the University of Edinburgh where they cloned Dolly the sheep. So,
Aw, Dolly.
Yeah, they wanted to make Dolly the mascot. They chose not to. Who can tell?
All right, y'all. Let's talk about Wisconsin. So Tuesday, there was I guess depending on who you were following, there was an upset. Francesca Hong was defeated. I mean, like they were predicting she was gonna landslide win, and it was like, first of all, you could tell very early on nobody was getting above 50%. They didn't even get to 40. And this was like within like half a point, So I think when you look at races like this, and even the one in Michigan, it was a 1 point difference. You got to come together because you got to win the other side. You cannot be like fighting infinitely. When there's a loss, especially when there's divisiveness during the campaign, which is normal. It's these are primaries. You gotta come together, but the first few days are going to be kind of rough, and that's what we've seen. I personally feel, I wasn't following this as closely as Michigan, but I feel like this was less divisive between the candidates. I feel like the social media sphere was another thing. They were going at each other, but as far as the candidates, I didn't see the same thing here as what we saw in Michigan.
No, they actually, I don't know if you saw, Crowley announced the Unity Tour after the fact, right? So it does seem like they align very much on the issues, which is great. And they have already said, hey, we're going to work together. She said she's going to campaign with him. I love it. I actually like that. I love what I've seen out of Wisconsin. I'm pretty proud of them.
I agree. I think you have to, the non-winner, I hate to say loser, non-winner needs to concede, needs to say something nice about going forward. And then the winner definitely needs to welcome the other side. Like you have to welcome the other side because Crowley needs those folks. I put this up because they both got 39%. He got 39.8. She got 39.4. And then you see what happened here. All of these other people peeled away, at the Democratic vote. On top of it, Crowley remember he was in the race, then dropped out and then back in.
Yeah, it's a wild story.
Yeah,
what wild. And I guess when some of the absentee ballots went out, he was on the ballot, but he wasn't he wasn't viable because he wasn't running. So I think this is amazing that he ran or that he won. But you could tell all night it was like this was not what they were saying, like at the very least.
No, most of the polls leading up had hung up by 8 to 10 points. I mean, I think that there was only one poll that I saw that had a 1 point lead for her, and she was leading in every single one of them.
Yeah,
and
people were worried. They're like, she's not going to win the general, and this, that, and the other thing. So here's,
I think it's also a very compelling case for ranked choice voting. Once again, I would like to say, here's an example of where this would, I mean, I know we say that all the time, but just this is a really good example of where some people were like, man, I wish we'd had ranked choice voting, because that would have also given you a clearer picture as well of who really was prioritized. I think that's helpful, not just for winning, but also going forward. So you can really see where you need to focus your efforts because you see what really people want.
This and Michigan, the polls were horrible. The end result, they were so far off. A lot of people have attributed that to the fact that they do not know how to poll Black voters. They are just not doing it right. And so I think in areas where you have larger Black populations, Black communities, maybe you're not trusting those polls so much.
I mean, do you trust any polls at this point? Yeah,
I think as far as trend, I do, but not as far as like an election result. Like, I think like if we're looking at Trump polls and we're seeing he's finally in the low 30s on some of these polls where he was like in the 40s. It was like, how is he hanging on? But you can see the trend is going lower for him. He definitely has a I don't think he's going to go below 30, or if he does, not much below 30, because those MAGA folks they're not letting loose there, right? For the most part.
Yes, I would agree.
I did want to make this point. So I don't know why people are calling him an establishment candidate. This is a young dude. I'm not saying he's a progressive. You could say he's a moderate, but why are people using moderate like it's a slur? I'm a progressive, but I know that we're going to need moderates. Like, we can't be like dragging moderate like it's some kind of awful word. And when you look at this guy's policies, he's for regulating data centers. There's got to be some nuance there. Universal childcare, expanded healthcare, labor union protections, climate restrictions, and what was that last one? Raising the minimum wage. Those are things that I think most progressives would agree on. Now, I did post this morning. The pushback I got was on a lot of people were like, yeah, I like them, whatever. Data centers, they want them banned. What I would say to y'all, this could be one of our many CTAs tonight. When you see a candidate that's the nominee and you're feeling like they're not in line with your position, push them, challenge them, write them, call their campaign headquarters, go on social, don't be a dick about it, but you could just say, look, what is exactly your data center policy and how is that protecting my community? Candidates get better as they run. They do adjust their policies. It doesn't mean you're flip-flopping, but he has to know, maybe this isn't for now. I would say data center awareness is still slightly new. And I do see more Democrats realizing I better get on board with something here with pushing back on data centers. Because before you would see some were like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's bringing jobs to the communities. And you could tell they weren't really researching what was going on because they bring very temporary jobs. In the communities, the data centers are putting out their own propaganda. These are going to bring jobs to the community. They have everyone buying into it in the community, especially if it's a struggling community, without realizing what's going on. So I don't know. I think the tide is turning. I think he could be pushed if that is your issue. I would like to see. I personally don't think expanded healthcare is music to my ears. I want to see pushing towards universal healthcare, single payer. But I do think politicians need to speak about that honestly. And I feel like the far left, sorry, I'm going on a rant here. The far left does not talk about universal healthcare honestly. How do you get there? It's one thing for Congress to say it, but if you're talking governors, you're going to bring it to your state. That is not going to happen while Trump is president. You have to decouple yourself from the federal government. Basically, you have to sue the federal government, and you're going to lose Medicaid in the process and Medicare in the process. You have to figure out your own thing. It is not easy. And I think politicians too often say shit like, universal healthcare, we're going to bring it to, and everyone's like, yeah, how are you going to get us there? And I think that, I'm for that, but it's you need to be honest. My own governor candidate, Becerra, was honest about that. I asked him about that, and he was like, it's not easy. And he knows what it takes because he was our attorney general. And he's like, it's going to be a fight, especially while Trump is president. So I don't know. I'm just saying. Anything else on here?
To that, absolutely push them, absolutely question them, but absolutely vote for them. You know why? They're Democrats. Because the other guys are fascists.
Oh yeah,
uncommitted and bullshit. You got to vote. Go out there and vote, folks. Otherwise, what you see right now in the national governance is what you're going to get. Do not sit it out ever.
To Teresa's point, how do you pay for it? States are already strapped. You're going to have to raise taxes. The governor is going to have to raise taxes. Now, listen, I've been very transparent about my own insurance rates. They were $1,700 a month. My son is too old, so he's on his own. He has his own insurance. So this is for myself, my wife, my daughter, $1,700 a month. it jumped from November to December of last year to $3,000 a month. That's insane. Like for a family of three paying $3,000, and it's not even a great insurance policy. But I would happily pay more taxes if I got something like a single payer or something like that, and just could like tell the insurance companies to fuck right off. But that's me.
Chris, you touched on a really important point though, which is what many voters think is that the election is democracy, and that's part of democracy. The rest of it is you have to engage with your elected officials the entire time they're in office.
Yes.
In order to push them into policies that you want them to be in. You are not electing a static candidate in November that then stays that way the entire time they're in office. You have the agency to push them on various issues throughout their time in office.
And that,
and so
my friends, is the
engaged.
difference between, a true democracy and why we're not an actual democracy, but we are a representative democracy, a indirect democracy. So we have someone else represent our feelings, and they can't represent your feelings if they don't know what they are, right? Like they can't represent your positions on things if you don't communicate those. So to Chris's point, we have a real apathy problem in this country, a real problem doing the actual work, especially at local levels of politics, local and state levels. We don't do a good job of staying invested. Late stage capitalism. There's a reason for that. And this is the fallout. This is where we are. And I want to keep saying this because I think it's important for people to understand that it's going to take us to doing the work to get out of this as well. It's not just the elected officials that you can yell at. It's also that you have to tell your neighbor and your cousin and the Costco greeter that they've got to do the work too. Like, and I get it. Not everybody can, but like more of us can than are. And
it's not a one size fits all solution of communication. You can tag your representatives or your politicians on social media, all the different platforms, right? You can call, you can write, emails, letters.
There's so many ways.
Show up at their town halls, show up at their community invites. Some of us have actually been on calls with candidates, and we've asked them hard questions and pushed them. And it wasn't like an instant change in position, but they realized the gravity of it. Like, listen, we're not on board with this, because all of us here, and probably all of you watching right now, you're on the receiving line of these policies. So, we have a lot to lose. So speak your mind, right?
And I feel like a lot of to the point of raising taxes, I think people need to understand that when billionaires and corporations are taxed appropriately, that the taxes are going to be fairly manageable for all of us, because everyone is doing that. And right now there's a major disparity there. And that's the problem, is that the middle class are doing the heavy lifting, and that's totally not balanced. That's part of the problem. We see that it works in other countries where we've talked about how much happier they are. So obviously it can be done. But I had somebody fighting with me the other day in my comments, and I was like, and it was like a Democrat, and it wouldn't. I'm like, no, it's not going to be easy. Like, no one thinks that tomorrow you're going to flip the switch and suddenly we're going to have universal childcare, healthcare, and all these things. That's part of the problem. It's going to be a long process, but it's going to take all of us getting involved to shape that government into what we want. That's the point. Like, we have to all communicate and be involved to make those changes, but we can, and the end result is going to be worth it.
So Karen Bass used to be my representative before she ran for mayor. And one thing I really appreciate about her is she was accessible. She did town halls via phone and so you had in-person town halls, and she had phone town halls. So you could be on the phone, you could be in the queue to ask a question, and she took the questions, she answered the questions. And she would say, if you some people were calling, say, my utilities are about to be cut off. And she would speak to that, and she would say, we need your number. We're going to work with you. We're going to help you. Push your representatives to be accessible also. I know it's hard if you're a Democrat and you have a Republican representative. So I'm not trying to make this sound easy. I'm just trying to mention that there are more ways.
But they do, to your point, they do they'll make excuses as Republicans, but even as Democrats, if you don't communicate them, when they'll just say, oh, this is what people think. And they can't do that if there's a record of you communicating with them.
If
right?
they're
Like, I mean, they
sitting,
can, but
if they're a
they
sitting
shouldn't.
representative and you call their office, so like if they have a local office and a DC office, you can call either one. The staff has to record your comment. They have to write it down. And at least, even if they're a Republican, I mean, I'm not guaranteeing the
They
Republicans
should.
They should. But
They
it's
should.
better for them to know that not everyone's towing the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's listen to a little bit of Crowley's speech, and then we'll move on.
The past few months, you've heard a lot of people try to define this election as a battle between the left and the center, between progressives and the establishment, between insiders and outsiders. That narrative misses the entire point of what we're doing. Because when I traveled across Wisconsin, I didn't meet people who introduced themselves that way. Now that this primary has come to a close, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is David Crowley. I am a son of Milwaukee. I'm a community organizer by heart who has just happened to find himself in the halls of the state capitol building at the head of Milwaukee County government for the last 6 years. Today is also a time to recognize everyone who participated in this primary. Democracy is stronger when people step forward to serve their families, their communities, and engage in spirited debate about how best to do that. To Kelda and Joe and every candidate who shared their vision for Wisconsin, thank you. They challenged all of us to think bigger about what our state can become. And I especially want to thank Representative Francesca Hong. Her campaign reminded people across Wisconsin that there are no long shots when it comes to believing in a better future and fighting to expand opportunities to every family. That kind of passion, it strengthens our democracy. And I look forward to earning their support and everyone who participated in this campaign as we move forward together.
So I think he's hit a lot of the right notes there. He also, if you saw his entire speech, he also talked about fighting MAGA and extremists and all that. I hope he wins. Obviously, we don't want, Wisconsin to be a red state. But, there's a fight here and people need to unify. And I think they are. So that's good news.
I think I heard a poll this morning that was the second poll on this particular race, and he was up by 8 points, if I recall that properly. I'm pretty sure about that.
8 points.
So
wow,
good start. Yeah,
that is.
I was a little surprised.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So a few days ago, news broke of this transfer of Donald Trump in an interesting way. Let's just play this video that begins the explanation, and it's kind of evolved. I feel like every day we're getting new portions of this.
Trump was seen boarding Air Force One at 8:24 p.m. local time on July 8th. But actually, according to the Post, and you can see here, Trump and several of his aides were secretly shuttled minutes later onto this airport catering truck, which was elevated and positioned at a door out of the view of the cameras. Now, the Post reports that the president was on that catering truck when it pulled away from Air Force One at 8:30 p.m., secretly bringing him to a smaller plane, an Air Force C-32A, making the Air Force One that everyone thought he was on a decoy that still had the reporters who thought the president had boarded that plane and who you see boarding right here on the right, and some White House staff aboard. The Washington Post reports, and I quote, "The maneuver meant that the president's actual location was concealed from the American public and many senior U.S. officials for hours." Now, it's still not clear, as the Post notes tonight, how the president was transported from that other secret plane back onto Air Force One after it landed. You see here the reporters captured the president getting off the plane that they thought he had just flown on with them to the UK, and he's seen coming down the stairs just before 11 p.m. After greeting American service members on the tarmac, Trump got on the new Air Force One jet. That's the one that was given to the president by the Qatari government, and then he flew back to Washington. Now, the plane that he's getting on here is not to be confused with the old Air Force One decoy or the military plane that he flew on secretly. But it was when the president got back on this plane to fly home to the U.S. that he was asked by reporters why they had been told to lower their window shades on that first flight, which is extremely unusual and not typically something that happens to the press, that sits on the right side of the plane, which is where that airport catering truck was, now that you look back at that other video.
You're saying there wasn't a security concern?
No. Why would they? Do you know why they had us close our window blinds? That was not usual. Well, yeah, because you're, probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleaze bags that we have to deal with.
So you think that Iran was possibly thinking, trying
Well, I mean, if they asked you to close your windows, probably they feel that way. They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
Well, I have
One?
a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go, right?
But was there a specific
So perhaps someday you want to change professions.
If I go, you go. Though the president wasn't actually on the same plane as the reporters who were asking him that question. And when they asked him about why they had to lower their own shades, the president said, well, he wasn't told to lower his. Well, he was on a secret plane. He was not on the same plane that those reporters and some White House staffers were flying on.
You see how he can't do it now, though, right? Like when he gets asked questions he's not prepared for, it's even more ridiculous than normal because his cognition capacity isn't there. He can't lie on his feet anymore. If he hasn't been prepped for that, he's not ready for it. And I don't think he was ready for the shade question. I don't think he was ready for that.
And all of his being such a reprehensible human being comes out in that
right.
in answers like that of, boy, it'd sure be a shame if somebody killed you. Who says stuff like that?
Well, the fact that he left the White House staff and the reporters on there, and really, like, we began to realize, like, wait a minute, they left that Air Force One, the older Air Force One, they let that be that was a decoy. So all those people, their lives were in jeopardy in theory, and he's hiding in a damn, catering truck.
And it has to be said again, and we've touched on this before, that the whole purpose of having two Air Force Ones that are identical is to make it such that if anyone wanted to attack it, you would never be sure which one had the president on it. Yeah. With only one, you know which one the president is on. And so this trip being a decoy is different than any other time in history that one of the planes has been a decoy, because if they were going to attack it, they knew exactly which one to attack it, and they wouldn't have gotten the president, but they would have gotten everybody else.
And is that why the CIA only had low confidence in the threat, but they actually did it anyway? Is that why?
Yeah, it was apparently they got the threat from Israel.
Yeah.
So that's,
and you had Marco Rubio on that plane. So not only are you talking about the reporters, but you're jeopardizing the line of succession at that point.
That's a good point. I always forget that's what he is. Like, I just think of Marco Rubio as how ridiculous he is. But yes, in fact, that is the line of succession, unfortunately.
You know who else was on that plane? Caroline
Leavitt.
And
she just quit. So my working theory is that, so I've been traveling internationally my whole career. And I will say this, once I had kids, when my son was a baby, there's something mental, and like, I don't fear flying, but when I had a baby, I used to think, like, God, who's going to take care of my family if I go? It's just a different mental thought that you're not, you're thinking of mortality here. What is she, 28? And she has 2 kids.
Oh my God. She looks like she's 47.
Okay, well.
Well, not only that, but her husband is much older than her, so it's not like,
He could be I don't know, like grandpa.
That's
but
right. So like she is
agree.
the caregiver, obviously.
But I'm wondering if she was like, that's enough. I'm done. I mean, plus the fact that she, got out just in the nick of time before midterms and all that other stuff. But I don't know. My theory is like that was the final straw for her because it was sudden.
I agree with you, and I wish her the worst. But also, I think that was the final straw of thinking, again, like so many of the women in this administration, thinking that you're a chosen one, thinking that you're protected, and then finally realizing they will never, ever protect you.
And this is a fierce loyalist. Like she, I mean, you can say what you want to about her. She like goes for the jugular on Trump. Like she protects.
Well, there were rumors that she was in an affair with him. Like that's how committed that she was to him. Well, I mean, that's been a while, like, you know, the year ago or whatever. But that's how committed she is to this administration, is that there were those kinds of rumors. So I completely agree, and I think that for her, especially, she realized not only that this ship is probably going to sink at some point, and there's a lucrative career out in Fox News for her. She's already posting fitness influencer like posts, like already. Like it's been like 24 hours, not even, since we got the announcement.
She's posting gym pics.
So you can
How
see
you take any of these people seriously, for God's sakes.
No, but you can see her arc is changing. And then also, as we pointed out every single time somebody left, that men in this administration have fucked up just as much, if not more. But who do they kick out consistently? It's like there's Pam Bondi, and there's, you know, it's every single person that goes.
Put his damn
Kristi Noem
on a signal chat with a friggin' reporter. I mean,
thank you.
Oh my God! Like
Kristi Noem, she deserved to go, right? Like they all deserve to go, but so do
Kristi Noem was fired.
These people.
Remember, she lost her job. Like we were watching the news. Like, and it just
that's what I'm saying is that like they're gonna constantly let go. They're not going to protect women. They're not going to prioritize women. You're not going to get ahead with this party. Just because you're adjacent to them in privilege doesn't mean you're going to actually be the recipient of that. And the quicker that not only Republican leadership realizes this, but the quicker that people who are women at home and voting for Republicans realize this, the quicker we can actually fix this and get our government to work for us. Because this is embarrassing. This is ridiculous.
Here, what's on screen right now is actually the moment people are theorizing that Trump was transferred. So he's in this. When the story first came out, a lot of people thought they said catering cart.
They did say it. It's in the headlines.
Exploded. Yeah. So I think that was a typo, because then later it was like, okay, catering truck. So like all of these memes, I had posted about it. Like that first video I showed y'all, that was my post like the first night the story broke. And then I was looking at the replies and people were like going crazy with memes. And I started looking at other people's posts. So I did like a little video.
I'm sorry, but at what point has this administration cared about the truth? So I'm going with, he was shoved into a cart that was then pushed onto the truck, because that's my truth.
I think he's right. I think you're right. But also I would like to point out that someone brought up that this could all be fake. This could have been a fake situation that was manufactured. And I think we also need to talk about that, because while it may not seem that that's as realistic, this administration loves them an assassination attempt. Like they love faking assassination attempts. That's like their thing. They think that it rallies their base. It makes it look like it's justified. It makes the approvals go up. It makes it look like it's justified to spend money on things that they say they need. And so like, you know, yes, the press was there. And yes, that's what they thought was going on. But is that what they were meant to think was going on? I don't know. I just think it's worth having that discussion. And is Carolyn Leavitt's departure, was it always planned? And was this supposed to fuel the authenticity and verify the actual threat, when in reality this was all just planned all along? And she really in fact was planning to leave, because guess who's coming on? They said Scott Jennings is one of the top people that's being considered.
Who?
Oh, that would make sense.
Scott Jennings,
the CNN.
Who had the 20-minute conversation with
that would be torture.
See what I'm saying?
I can't.
But if you've been paying attention, that cut, you're like, okay, I see this has maybe been orchestrated. Like this, you can see a through line.
God is punishing us. I cannot.
This is actually the bad place. I really do believe that. This is either like hell or the purgatory. Like we're there. Like that's what this is, and we're just doomed to keep repeating this until somebody gets it right.
Oh, hell no.
Chris Webb, are you sure that this story with him being on the food cart wasn't along with the previous story about the genetically modified foods and something went horribly awry, and this is what comes out of the food cart in an airplane?
That might be some airplane food, and we definitely don't know what they're feeding us on the airplane. So
I don't know. I don't eat on planes.
I do. I'm on long ass flights. Anyway. So
this is
I bring my own.
Yeah, or snacks. Yeah, I don't eat, or I bring my snacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one more that aired last night. I don't. Maybe there's some more news today, but this is a little more detailed recap, and then we'll move on.
Questions. Ever since President Trump confirmed he did take that secret flight out of Turkey last month, as if officials felt it wasn't safe enough for the president to fly on Air Force One, how is it safe enough for everyone else to still do so? CNN has confirmed that Secretaries Marco Rubio and Scott Bessent were still on that primary plane, but those weren't the only officials. So were other members of the White House staff, the U.S. military, Secret Service, and yes, the traveling White House press corps. When the president was later asked about threats posed to the plane and why reporters were told to lower their window shades in an unusual move, he told them,
"But if I go, you go."
Though the president himself wasn't actually on the plane that the reporters took from Turkey to the United Kingdom. Now, yes, reporters have traveled with presidents to other dangerous places, including war zones before, but the difference here is that they knew about it on those trips. For this trip, those who were flying on board that primary plane, Air Force One, they were effectively serving as an unwitting decoy.
So that's, I think we were saying decoy. I think that was one of the first times the press and others were saying decoy. And I don't know. I feel like if I were a member of the press corps, I would be hot. I don't know. I don't know.
Royally pissed.
Yeah, I'd be like, I didn't sign up for this shit,
because they report on him every day and they understand how polarizing he is. This isn't like a normal president that might be beloved or this is a guy who has a target on his back, for reasons because he puts it there. Literally, it just gets in all of these skirmishes, escalates things, makes everybody angry. It rallies all these outliers, the extremists. They're sitting ducks normally. I feel like there's a higher threat level just being around him in general than it would be in previous administrations, especially given who's running the show, right? Who's running Secret Service, who's running the DOD, right? So for me, I feel like this has to be an awakening for some of them because they know that this is already threat level orange, right? They know it's already intense. This is just, now he's proven that not only are there significant threats, but that they're the first ones that he's going to throw on the grenade. Stop asking him easy questions, is what I'm saying. Stop with the softballing. This man doesn't give a fuck about you. He's willing to just throw you to the assassins. Why would you ever protect him or even your career with him? Honestly, look, Carolyn Levitt's probably going to go be an influencer and make gazillions of dollars more money. Y'all should getting fired by this administration publicly, especially with these exchanges. If you have the right exchange with him, it's going to go viral and you're going to get a job somewhere else and it's going to be better. So can I just encourage everyone that's Democrat leaning in the press corps, because you know who you are, just start with these questions and get in there really hard and get a nice big viral moment for yourself. And if everybody just kept doing that, he'd have a heart attack probably, and we'd see him go down in real time, and that would be the greatest gift that you could give to this country, honestly.
Yeah. All right. President sins, and this is where we recap some of the lowlights of the past 7 days. Mm-hmm. This one's kind of the first one I'm going to play for y'all. This is kind of a blast from the past. When they started dragging out Fauci again and started, it made no sense to me, and it still doesn't, because it's why are you forcing us to relive one of the darkest chapters in most of our life. Like we were scared, okay? And who made it worse? Donald Trump. So I just, this strategy is crazy. They're trying to villainize Fauci, and I guess they think that's rallying their base. Maybe it is, but that's not enough to win elections. And I think a lot of people are like, seriously, you're reminding us of COVID again? So here's this little gem.
Repeatedly that you think that some of the equipment that governors are requesting they don't actually need. You said New York might not need 30,000. You said it on Sean Hannity's Fox News. You said that
why don't you people act? Let me ask you.
You said
why
some
don't
states.
Why don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to
My
get
question to you
get you.
But who said no? But you asked me, do we have enough masks? Yes.
Doctors, we hear from
No, you didn't say that. A lot of it's fake news. A lot of it's fake news. Let me just
when the doctors and the medical experts come on our air,
the governors reported.
We don't have enough tests. We don't have enough.
The governor, yeah, depending on your air, they always say that because otherwise you're not going to put them on.
You were talking about governors of different states, and you said, I want them to be appreciative. You also said, if they don't treat you right,
But I didn't say
don't
that.
call. These are direct quotes, sir.
Excuse me. You know the answer's a lie. You know that
I could read you your full comments, sir,
Let me
if
just
that
say,
would
look,
be easier.
your statement and your response and your answer is a lie. You shouldn't be asking that kind of a question. You should say, you know what? It's been really incredible what's been happening. Jim, nobody's asking. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
My
That's
question
why
to you is, how is that going to
Excuse
impact?
me, you didn't hear me. That's why you used to work for the Times and now you work for somebody else. Be nice. Don't
Mr.
be
President, my
threatening.
question
Don't
is-
be threatening. Be nice.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. But it says
You said,
because
I
when
want
you're
them to be
not,
appreciative. I don't want them to say things that aren't true. I want them to be appreciative. We've done a great job. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Mike Pence, the task force. I'm talking about
Thank
FEMA,
you.
the Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you.
But then you went on to say, if they don't treat you right, I don't call. He's a different type of person.
I don't
you said,
call.
referring to the
I
vice
don't
president.
call. No, I don't call the governor of Washington
Why in this
now.
time of-
But Mike Pence calls. I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and the same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. Let me just for whom you work. Let me just tell you something. That's really bad reporting.
Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you,
ask
I'm
China?
not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question
That's
like that.
not a nasty
Please
question.
go ahead.
Why does it matter?
Okay, anybody else? That's why people aren't watching CNN very much anymore. That's why they don't like it. That's why your ratings are no good. Because you, even after knowing the truth for days now, you bring up the old lie. Please, go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But
We'll
you
go over
pointed
here.
to me. I have two questions, Mr. President.
Next, please.
But you called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on
Sorry, I just
the
wanted
young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague
Okay.
finish. But can I ask you a
Ladies
question?
and gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Do you remember, like, every day we had to sit through his press conferences during lockdown?
And I'm
Well,
telling you that he
until he
can't
gave
do
up.
that now. He can't do that anymore.
Oh, no.
Like
Yeah.
to that extent. So
He
people
would-
just need to push harder like that,
Yeah.
like they were back then.
What's so striking about that is the way the reporters were treating him. They were asking questions as if he would ever answer them in good faith, and still treating him as if they were asking any other president from before. And what's so painful about that is that is the spring of 2020. He had been president for 3.5 years already. You knew what this was going to be like. And that's if I'm going to blame the press about anything, it's going to be that they took so long to figure out that you can't treat him normally. And that's why so many people on the left were very frustrated with organizations like NPR in particular, where they both sides everything when it's, this person says 2 + 2 is 5, and this person says, no, there's right and wrong, and there are some issues where there aren't two sides, and the reporters are still treating him respectfully when he does not deserve it.
It's like an abusive relationship. It's crazy. But I mean,
he's
again,
abusive.
They have put, well, yeah, he is. They have put, this is intentionally done. And we know because I talked about this with the Project 2025 very early on. It talks about replacing the press corps. And that is not the body that was existing before, and getting rid of the White House correspondents, like association, whatever. None of that was required. And it made a big point of saying that in fact, they don't have to be there. You could actually appoint your own body of press. And they made a whole big deal about how the media had been so unfair to Trump. And so therefore you had to make sure that was corrected. So this was known. This was known in advance, that their goal was to get rid of any journalists that actually pushed him on something and replace them with Trump favorites who were going to ask softball questions that were orchestrated ahead of time. That this is the goal, and that was intended. So why on earth, knowing that, did the establishment media not push harder during the campaign season? Because they know one president's going to let you keep your job, and the other one's never going to let you into a press conference. Why? Why are they not pushing harder?
It's even worse because what happened a couple of weeks ago in Washington, big event with the press and with the president there, White House Correspondents' Dinner. They invited him in, let him talk for an hour, basically insulted them left and right. Oh, and now, after he insults them horrifically, he basically uses them as bait while he gets off a plane and then leaves them to face possible death. I mean,
they really look just about as bad as some of these people like Bill Cassidy. Honestly, I'm serious. The press and Bill Cassidy at the same respect. Love yourself, my God.
Oh, for goodness sake, have some self-respect. And I had forgotten. I mean, you may have castigated the reporters back then for treating him seriously, but they pressed him. Now it's just they want to ask their question and they get a response. And if it's quiet piggy, they just let it go and move on. Terrible.
Just been putting up some graphics.
They think somebody's coming in to save them. Like they're the ones that are supposed to be doing it.
Did you guys see his latest little bullshit? Is we're semi-negotiating with Iran? Like, what does that even mean? Like, it goes from we're kicking ass to the strait is definitely open, but it was really not. And now he's semi-negotiating. But this is after we heard that they were running out of ammunition, so I think he's just stalling.
Concepts of a plan.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, another clip here that's, I think, this is called President Sins for a reason. I thought this was disgusting. Watch this.
Sort of a moderate person over his...
This is when he's informed about Biden's cancer diagnosis.
Lifetime, not a smart person, but a somewhat vicious person, I will say. If you feel sorry for him, don't feel so sorry because he's vicious. What he did with his political opponent and all of the people that he hurt a lot of people, Biden. And so I really don't feel sorry for him.
And this is why, when he dies, which we know he's going to die, no one should feel any sorrow or guilt in whatever slander you put out there. This is also a man that was happy Merrick Garland died. He posted about it. He's like, he
Merrick
deserved
Garland.
it. So, huh?
Merrick Garland died?
I mean, oh, sorry. The other DOJ. That was awful.
Robert Mueller.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
you. Oh, shit. Pretend I didn't say that. Anyway,
Whoa.
I mean, but he's an awful human. I mean,
We're sorry, Merrick.
Are we now?
You don't want the guy to
Don't
die.
go that far.
Oh.
I don't say I want him to die. I'm just saying, are we sorry we said that?
I mean, I was raised to never wish death upon anyone. I would say everyone I associate with
I agree.
is not shy about just die already. I'm not saying,
as many people have pointed out, when Gerald Ford died, Jimmy Carter did his eulogy. When John McCain died, Barack Obama did his eulogy.
Oh, dear Lord.
Can you imagine Trump doing that for Biden? And that speaks to how far we've
Chris.
fallen in this.
It's funny that you brought that up because I was thinking the other day, I was like, I hope Biden can hang on for, I know it's really serious. I hope he can hang on until after this administration because he does not deserve what he's going to get if he dies sooner than that. Like he should be, I bet you Trump will deny him lying in state, or at least try.
100%. 100%.
It's already it's already like I already know that. And that's why the news the other day that his cancer had worsened was so horrific, because it reminded all of us, like I thought he was doing better. And I was like, okay, good. Maybe he's gonna
because you've seen little clips of him. Yeah, I've seen him out and about, and I thought, oh, good,
Well, and I will say this, my grandfather had prostate cancer that did spread eventually. And though he was also like, we had full-time in care for my grandmother who had late stage Alzheimer's by that point, but he was still doing a lot more stuff. Right. So to be fair, like he didn't have the care that Biden has, obviously, but our family was there all the time. And I saw him and like when it's bad, it's really bad. Right. Like, so, I mean, you're not going to restaurants is what I'm saying. You're not meeting people. You're not doing anything. And he was like that for quite a bit of time. So I'm saying, not that I wish pain and suffering on anybody, but except for this guy. But I do feel like the fact that he's up and doing things is a really good sign is in terms of where he is.
Just supposedly it's spread to his bones and he's in a lot of pain. So
that is how my grandfather was. And but I'm saying he lasted like that for a really long time. He just had to be on a lot of painkillers and medications and stuff. Hopefully. It was pretty rough. Yeah. So and he didn't have any like, how there's like end of life like extension, like the people that are pushing for like the people who sign a DNR, he signed like a DNR, like he was like, do not do anything to prolong my life. Like don't give me a feeding tube, like don't do any of that stuff. So and maybe we rally together and do what we can to keep Biden alive in spirit. Because I just can't see this happen. That would hurt my
that would be so sad on so many levels. Like I just
and I don't fangirl about politicians, and I get up here and criticize them all the time. And Biden was like no different. I criticized him too. But he was a public servant, and I do think he wanted good for this country, even if I didn't always agree with him. And we know that that's not how Trump is. And we know that this is a malicious narcissist who would do anything he could to attack someone that obviously was loved more than he was or is or ever will be.
And I appreciate decency so much more now with Trump. Like, to me, that's like my bare minimum. I want politicians that are decent people.
Those videos of George Bush going around GW that are like, I thought he was the worst president, and now they're like fangirl videos, and I'm just like, I can't believe that I really missed that. Like that's crazy work.
I got news for you. I got stuff that I would scrape off the bottom of my shoe that's more beloved than this guy.
Oh hell, of course. So he posted this week, Trump 2028. He keeps dropping these little nuggets. This man, I don't know. The thing is, I feel a little bit better today than I did a few months ago about this because I don't think he has the support. I do not think, I think at one point they would have tried to do something with the Constitution or say it didn't say what it said. You know how they do? I don't think people are going to ride for him. I really don't. I think
really have said this for a while, and it's that capitalism will save us at the end of the day because money rules the world, especially in our country where Citizens United was overturned. And so you have to have the funding from the backers to do anything in a normal campaign season, let alone trying to go against what the Constitution says, which very clearly says you can't be elected more than 2 times. Like very clearly says you can't be in office for more than 10 years. Is very explicit about these things. It's not like there's it's weird because I don't know who's telling them exactly. I mean, I assume Trump, but like the MAGA people are coming with these talking points about how suddenly everybody's a constitutional law lawyer and they're trying to explain to me how you interpret that. And I was like, babe, we know why it was written. So we have it was literally somewhat contemporary, it wasn't that long ago that it was written. We know why it was written. So we know the intention of it and what it was serving and why it was made. It wasn't because he didn't they were like, oh, but it wasn't 2 successive terms. That's not That's a
not the
whole
language.
Constitution is very clear.
But they'll try.
This
If
thing
they really wanted to keep him, they would try.
And I just don't think they will. I mean, I think that his cult followers want him, but I'm saying
And then
I don't
he also
think that other
is
people
so
do.
successful with Supreme Court rulings and all that. I just, like I said a few months ago. I mean, I know what the Constitution says about it, but a few months ago, I thought, this could get ugly. I don't think he has that kind of support now.
The Iran war did it. Like, I really think that pushed. I mean, I think he's already in trouble because of everything else. But I think that it's always the economy. It's always that. And people, I just saw Tina Smith had posted this on Threads, and I thought that this was such a important point. And she was saying that the White House normally gets $2.5 million a year for maintenance, and Trump's team has allocated $875 million. So that's 350 years worth of the usual budget spent by a single administration. And then I was like, and it's just doubly worse because you have all these families that are coming onto social media and sharing recipes to feed your family, 4 people for under $10. I'm seeing them all over the place. You know why? Because there's a need for that, because people can't afford to pay their families. So this administration and Republicans are propping up vanity projects while people are starving. And that's just unconscionable. And then they're posting things like the Gilded Age. Like, bro, do you know what happened after the Gilded Age? Like, were you there the first time? It's like they're just like gold everything, Gilded Age. Like, they didn't read. And
what it's costing us, and the fact that they're funding all this shit from stealing from national park money. Get a grip, people.
National Park Police were out today.
And nobody should be believing Trump when he says, "Oh, I've got donations to pay for it. Oh, I'm paying for it." He's lying. We always knew. Remember when the East Wing was torn down and he was building this ballroom? We were saying we're going to end up paying for this, and we are.
Yes,
Come on. 2016, we're going to build a wall. Who's going to pay for it? Mexico. No, they weren't. They were never going to pay for it. We all knew. We all knew back then.
We all knew.
The best thing defending against Trump 2028 is the fact that in a year and a half, look how bad things have gotten. And if you fast forward 2 years, what are things going to look like? Yeah. And the people that surround him are not truly loyal to him. They're loyal to power. They understand.
And money. This is their meal ticket. Their path to
nobody ever respected
a lot of the
him,
administration were very wealthy to begin with, and they're getting wealthier being next to him.
I think that's an important point to remember. What Chris Q is saying, that this is not a man that's respected. That it never was. He was always a prop. He was always a puppet that they used, but he was never the charismatic person that was respected. Everybody thought he was a buffoon. Like, everyone did. They just used him because he could rally some of the people that were stupid, that he could, it's hard for me to even say it, because I'm like, it's hard to understand how you fooled anybody with that, but whatever. Fine. Back in the day, he did. And it was a brand, and they could brand it out. Fine. But nobody really sat around and thought, like, man, what a leader. This guy is, they're not thinking that. They're saying that. They don't think that. These are smart people. They don't think that. They used him. They're using him. I told you, as soon as he would serve no use, they would move on. They dump him. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go out with some sort of a Hail Mary with an assassination attempt that actually is successful and it's put on by them. And I'm going to say that with my tinfoil hat firmly placed on my head, because I'm not fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you use the word buffoon, I mean, I think what social media has been doing, like basically dragging him for filth like every day, talking about his full-time diaper nurse. I mean, this is like, and they deserve it. Like, Biden was dragged for filth for while he was in office. I don't think that was even anywhere near as bad as what we're going through right now, as far as like the health conditions, as far as the dementia, as far as the fact that he's incontinent, and just like, I mean, this man, it just adds up. Yeah. Any other person, you kind of feel sorry for them. Like, oh, he's really on his last legs. No.
Don't feel sorry for him.
We're done with you. So this happened this week, which, we'll see.
The stroke of a pen, President Trump calling for fewer childhood vaccines, creating new questions tonight for parents across the country.
It is essential to our research efforts that we have the very best vaccine recommendations in the entire world. So we're reducing them.
The White House now calling for children to get vaccinated against 11 diseases, down from the 18 diseases previously recommended by the CDC. Key to the president's plan, splitting the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine into 3 separate shots, even though individual shots are currently not available in the U.S. Trump claiming without evidence that the current combined vaccine is harmful and could be linked to autism.
Together, there could be a possibility they're quite lethal, and separately, it looks like they are not at all lethal, but just very effective.
Our Stephen Portnoy pressing the president, where's the science to back that up?
Is there any evidence of that?
What I've heard is that there are some people that say it is that way. And I say, well, let's say there's a 5% chance of it. Let's split it up.
Tonight, a leading Republican Senator, Bill Cassidy, who's also a doctor, openly rebuking the president, calling the decision so wrong, saying, I'm a doctor. This executive order is wrong. The president does not have the expertise to make these changes. Vaccines are overwhelmingly safe. Vaccines are effective. Vaccines do not cause autism. Breaking up vaccines will mean children have to get more shots to get the same protection, not fewer shots. It will increase hesitancy and make children less safe. Parents should listen to their child's pediatrician about vaccines rather than listening to an inaccurate executive order. This is so wrong. Tonight, the American Academy of Pediatrics blasting the president's recommendations, saying they are not justified by science and that children will suffer.
What do y'all think?
It's weird. It's a bad day when I have to say Bill Cassidy's right. Bill Cassidy is correct here. Bill Cassidy's statement on that point about vaccines, everything that he said is accurate. And as someone who is autistic with autistic children, might I tell you that my husband, who's also autistic, did not have childhood vaccines until because his mom did not vaccinate until he got to college, and then he got them all. So booyah. And also my youngest is the same way because of the pandemic. She missed hers because we weren't going anywhere because they basically were like, we don't know, stay home. And so she didn't get them ahead of time, but she did eventually catch up. And they're right about that because they end up getting more vaccines in the long run. And she also is autistic. So suck it. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing.
There have been so many studies and no credited study has shown a link. And I mean, I'll just tell you, there are people I'm old, okay? There are people I grew up with that were not diagnosed autistic. I have friends that were diagnosed late in life. And I think the thing is, like, autism is a spectrum, right? And so I think more people are being diagnosed because we've become more aware, or science has shown us that spectrum, whereas back in the day, people weren't getting diagnosed, you know? So it's like, on paper, it seems like, oh, we have so many more people with autism. More people are being diagnosed with autism because we realize the spectrum. So
it's like when people are like, oh, my grandmother thought I never, I couldn't be autistic. And then she shows you her spoon collection. Like, you're like, oh, okay.
I didn't go to school with anyone that had autism, just like I didn't go to school with anyone that was gay.
That's right.
It's the exact same thing. And RFK, let's focus on him with this.
Why is he so, remind me why he's so anti-vax, Chris, because I don't know if I know this.
He made his career on lawsuits.
There it is.
He's an environmental lawyer and somehow thinks he's a scientist.
He's a grifter.
Yeah.
So one of the largest measles outbreaks in the country right now is in Lancaster County, which is about an hour west of Philadelphia. It has a large Amish population. The vaccination rate within the Amish population and Amish and Mennonite population is estimated at about 25%. Video was resurfaced this week from a talk that his foundation did, that he did, to the Amish community in Lancaster from 2021, saying how horrible vaccinations were, and that the reason that the government wanted the Amish to get vaccinated was because they were jealous of how healthy the Amish community is. I don't know how much you know about the Amish community, but there are some issues there with some family trees.
Well, they don't, that, and also they don't believe in vaccinations, right?
And one of the problems is that because of the anti-science just nature of the religion in general, that was a perfect population for RFK to prey upon. And now it is resulting in this enormous measles outbreak in Lancaster that will inevitably spread. Measles is the most contagious disease we know of. So it's not going to, and people think the Amish are just in their little insular community. That is 100% not the case. They will take their buggy to Home Depot. They will take,
I was on a flight with some once. I didn't know they flew, but they did.
They regularly interact with the English, the regular community. So it's but not Mennonites necessarily. So the Mennonites are kind of the Amish light, that they can still drive cars, but it's still kind of in that same wheelhouse in terms of having science skepticism. So you would be able to pick out somebody that's Amish, but you might not be able to pick out somebody that's Mennonite.
Correct.
So you're going to have this disease spread way outside of this community.
But by the way, don't call it Lancaster, folks. It's Lancaster.
Lancaster.
I work for a law firm out there.
We have a Lancaster
for
in
a summer.
California.
Yep,
Lancaster.
it is Lancaster.
Lancaster.
We've got Cassidy up on this on the screen again. The thing that really infuriates me about Cassidy and this statement is that he was the deciding vote for RFK, even though he knew. As a doctor,
and
knew.
We told him.
Y'all,
and
we
he
didn't
said,
have to.
Oh, he's
wait,
not going to mess with vaccines. Like, he pushed back.
But he also knew this executive order was coming before he cast his vote for Todd Blanche. He knew that RFK lied right to his face when he said he wouldn't do this, and he voted for him anyway. And then the executive order was coming, and he knew that Blanche was in the same spot doing the same exact thing, and he voted for him anyway. And what did Blanche turn around and do? He said, well, no. The slush fund is dead, but the president feels, and so do I, that people had government weaponized against them, and the president feels, and so do I, that they should be compensated for that. I mean, just so
hypocritical. And by the way, Cassidy's saying, to your point, he's like, well, I couldn't have known unless someone had given me a crystal ball.
That's what I was just going to say.
And my point to that was, well, then you're not qualified for your fucking position or any other position in government because you have no common sense and you don't deserve to be there.
My reply was like, you could have you didn't have to know the future. You had to just know the past.
I mean, just know what he thinks, or the current, or the
and
current.
He had nothing to lose. He could have voted against Todd Blanche with zero negative consequence.
He is just a weak-minded man. And all of these people who, I mean, everybody should go to jail. Everyone should lose, book deals and whatever, and just standing in communities, shunned. They should all be, right? Except for some of these people, I think deserve it worse. The people who knew better and did it anyway, right? The people who could have Adam Kinzingered themselves out of this party, but chose to stay in and chose to commit and double down. And then even when it got worse, and there were people that were like, I'm out, I'm done. There have been, there's people that have resigned and left and said, this is too much. There's still people like Cassidy who went to medical school and are clearly capable of knowing better and still making excuses for them. And that is just I can't even think of how you would punish that, but it should be punished because that is gross, vile, awful. People are going to die because of him.
Yes, they will.
Imagine having that on your conscience. I just can't. I can't imagine showing up to work and doing something knowingly that people are going to die because of it. And not because it's some sort of good. You're not doing a good here. You're not doing any service. There's nothing good that comes out. What positive good is coming out of this? Nothing. Why can't people be brave? Right, I don't understand.
Punch Bowl News, that interview that everyone was talking about, this clip.
Yeah.
Country right now is doing better than it's ever done. You know, when I see polls on the economy, I should have 150%, not 100%.
Well, yeah.
Because we have the greatest. This is the golden age of America.
Vacations are shrinking as costs keep rising. Trump says people who can't afford NBA Finals tickets can watch on TV. That's the way life goes. Gas costs an average of $4 nationally. Almost $1 more than it cost a year ago. Okay, groceries. Let's do groceries, which according to the data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics are up a staggering 33% since 2019. That is the largest jump in 50 years. What about housing, which CNBC found to be the top political issue for young voters? According to a June report by Harvard, nearly half of households that rent spend more than a third of their income on housing, and more than 12 million spend over half of their income.
I mean, is he delusional, or do you think he's just thinking we're just going to believe it because he says it? Because I could see both, because he always says shit. He thinks, you know, his motto is if you say it often enough, people believe it. So he's always lying and thinks, well,
I genuinely do think at this point, and I know people disagree with me, but I think for a long time, a couple things have been happening. Number one, he has people that are like the yes people that are telling him what he wants to hear. So he's being told things, he's being fed things. You know, he's kind of being relinquished to Truth Social, so he's only seeing certain types of media even. And I really do think that he's not that smart. I've always said that I don't think he's as smart as other people, and he knows that. And that's the insecurity that he has and why he wants to put people who aren't as smart in certain positions. I don't think he's stupid necessarily, but I don't think he's as smart. And I don't think he understands things. And I don't think he does know. And I think he's got, on top of all of that, the narcissism that comes with that, and this overconfidence. None of it is merited, and I think that continues to propel him forward. Have anybody seen the show Community? Yep. Vampire mythology, that episode where the carnival worker Jeff Winger goes back and he's like, why are you so cool, like what's wrong with you? And he's like, you want to know? I had a brain injury and it killed the part of my brain that feels shame, and so I just like, whatever, dude, like I'm cool with all, like he just has this energy about him, but it's because he's got an actual brain injury and doesn't feel shame. And that's what I feel about Donald Trump, is like that he's missing the part of his brain that feels shame, but the same part of his brain that recognizes things, that connects patterns, that is able to take information and synthesize it and turn it into something. And also he can't relate to anybody because he's always been wealthy. So we've got all of those things and narcissism put together. So I don't think it's as simple as he's just stupid or he's smart or he's this or he's that, but I do think he doesn't really understand. And I think he's also being told by his handlers that things are fine, that the numbers are going up. That's why he's saying things like, oh, the food costs are down and prices are down, and he's saying all this. It's not, none of it's true.
I don't think he cares. I mean, I think that he
didn't want to be president. He didn't want to be president. He wanted to stay out of jail. That's why he's here.
And he you know, he's always going to be the most arrogant, braggadocious guy that there is. So I'm doing it better than anybody ever else did and anybody else ever will do. And of course, everything's perfect because I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another clip.
Question for you. If Democrats do take over the House, it's just going to be investigation mania. You know, they're going to do oversight. They could impeach you again. I mean, do you think they will?
Well, a lot of people are saying I'm one of the greatest presidents ever.
They're not saying that, though.
But they know, they see the results.
That's the best. That's the best clip. They're not saying that. I think that Adam's totally right. And I think that and you too, Chris, because you said this too, that if you keep pushing at something, eventually, you know, at least some people believe it, right? And that's what he's done, is that he keeps showing up. And this is what I keep telling people, is you need to use this as momentum in your own personal lives. Not that I want you to emulate Trump, but that a lot of people don't try things because they strive for perfection, and you need to stop with that, because there is no look at this whole man. This man is president of this whole country. You can do anything you want to do. It's fine. Just keep showing up, and eventually you're going to get it right. And people are going to forget that you got it wrong, because there's a pedophiling grifter felon in the office of the presidency. So I'm just telling you right now that this strategy of showing up consistently, that part actually works. So everybody should just keep showing up for our country, and eventually we'll get it right if we stop electing people like that.
So there is hope. We're seeing glimmers of it. Here's a clip of one of his voters.
Shannon Ebersole is a rancher, a Republican, a 3-time Trump voter, and a midterm wild card. Not happy with the war.
First and foremost, we need to take care of our Americans. And that is one frustrating point of the Iran war, is because I voted to take care of us first.
And not happy with a Republican congressman she sees as too willing to put the party line ahead of rural Iowa.
Do you take a chance on a new Democrat and say that would send a message, right?
I am really still leaning that way.
Leaning for change.
Yes. I believe that change is always a good thing.
Just like Jesus used to say, take care of ourselves first. Like, isn't that what he used to say? Oh,
well,
no,
these are America First voters, and they're, they were maybe honest about that part. They thought he was going to be America First.
Yeah.
They believed that he no new wars. People are pissed. Here's another clip.
Promised no new foreign wars. He promised to bring down prices. Both of those things aren't happening right now. How are you feeling about your support for him?
He's just a man with money, and therefore it makes him powerful. Money talks louder than, honestly, a whole group of people, sadly. But my view of him went down. I'm not a big fan anymore.
Why?
Like I said, he's got money, so he thinks he's got all the power. He thinks he can make the decisions of going to war, and he doesn't feel the repercussion because of it. We do.
Does the war feel worth it?
I mean, at this point, no. But I mean, it's not going to stop. So.
Is, there any benefit to your life because of this war?
No, not really. Gas prices go up. Store prices go up. Everything goes up.
President Trump is also pushing so that his family is immune from IRS tax audits. They can't be audited. It looks like it may go forward.
Yeah, no. That, pardon my language. No. What? That's not cool. How does he get to do that? We don't. Like, no.
I feel like he's having trouble coping with the reality here, but the words are coming out.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
I don't think that's fair at all. Just because he's president doesn't mean he gets two special privileges like that.
Okay,
so,
that woman,
people are waking up, I guess.
That woman in particular, I don't have any sympathy for any of them, because the first woman, she all but said, "I hate brown people and black people."
That's what I was coming to say right now. Yes.
The second man, I would imagine, would feel the same. But the third woman, can you make the picture bigger again?
Mm-hmm.
Look at her back window.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? That says, "Let's go, Brandon." Let's go, Brandon is still on her car. So I have no sympathy for her whatsoever.
No, and to your point, because I was just listening to what that guy said, the logic that man was just using in the middle is reasonable. Like, and not everybody, but people want to paint MAGA as stupid. And yeah, some of them are, and some of them aren't married to their cousins. That's true. Okay, a lot of more are just racist people. And that's what needs to be said, is that a lot of them, it's not that they're stupid. They absolutely understand. They just don't want to, because they're racist. And that
they wanted
needs
me
to
to
be
suffer. They didn't think they'd be suffering.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And now they are. And so they don't like it. And so when we come back to fix this, I'm going to have to insist that part of the conversation is this, because this isn't, you don't deconstruct from this overnight. Like, but I do think you can shame people into being less racist. I do think that that's a thing. I think you can make community gatherings, or like, you know, when you invite people over, I think you can make your positions clear. I think you can make it uncomfortable for people to be racist. And that is the more of the conversations and expectations that we need to have, and less of the hand holding with it, and more of the, this is what we're gonna do. Because look at what your shitty ass racism got us. Look at what your xenophobia, your transphobia, look at all these things, your hatred, your bigotry. Look what it did for this country. Nothing. So now we're gonna do it my way, and you're gonna like everybody, and that's suck it. Jan, I don't know what her name is. No, she is, but
all right.
her child is chewing on her for some reason. I don't know. That's the other thing I pulled from that clip was, why is there someone suckling at her, like not her, like her fabric of her shirt? Like, that's weird.
I mean, all right, no comment. Okay, so this happened this week. It has been going on. The Patriot games. I mean, it looks like a PE class to me. Like, it reminds me of high school PE.
And mind you, they had professional photographers taking photos and trying to put them out and make it look like the Olympics.
So these are the qualifying rounds, I believe, that we're watching.
Yeah, I just found out about this today or yesterday when they had a bunch of people at the White House.
Hey, Mom, I was a, what are those called? What are the things? The hurdle. Mom, I was a hurdle today. Like, what?
Okay, I'm gonna immediately.
You jumped over a hurdle, sweetie? No, I was a hurdle. That's what I did for our country. I was a hurdle.
Watch this video and tell me what it reminds you of. So this is also the Patriot Games, but when Trump attends. And watch how this is covered.
Pressure is on for the 8 finalists in the Patriot Games. President Trump has arrived to watch their final event. This Trump-backed youth sports competition has drawn some inevitable comparisons to the Hunger Games. One boy and one girl from all 50 states plus territories and tribes, except that unlike the Hunger Games, we are here in Ohio and they are competing for $125,000 in college scholarship money. And everyone gets to go home when it's over. This 3-day contest has included a qualifying round with a presidential physical fitness test, dodgeball, kickball, tug of war, a military-style obstacle course, and a varsity circuit. The final contest is an obstacle course actually designed and created with the help of an American Ninja Warrior consultant, with a televised finale airing later this week. The elaborate course includes ropes, monkey bars, rings, and a climbing wall. This was all organized by Freedom 250, that Trump-aligned group that produced the UFC fight on the North Lawn, the Great American State Fair, and the July 4th fireworks spectacular on the National Mall. Participants have been graded on a point system prioritizing leadership and teamwork in addition to their athletic prowess. It all started with 120 participants. There are now 8 contestants left, 4 boys and 4 girls. May the odds be ever in their favor.
Okay, so I just want everyone to know that this was, it doesn't have their logo on here, but I got it from CNN's TikTok page. This is propaganda, in my opinion. Like, this is the way this was covered. It is just propaganda, and it reminds me of, you know, something else that was like really like not so good.
For some background, so this was you applied for this. A committee picked you for unknown reasons. You were told about it 2 weeks before it happened. It was originally going to be in Washington, D.C., and then they changed the venue to this sports-based private school in Ohio. The participants, for some reason, are 90% white.
Yes, very noticeable.
I was wondering that. I didn't see
and they're not always from the place they're representing.
There are 2 students who are from Texas, one who is representing Puerto Rico, and I forget where the other one is representing, but so not everybody's from where they said they were going to be from. And the Freedom 250 had like merch tables that had all Trump paraphernalia. So the idea that this was kind of some celebration of America's 250th, no, it was propaganda. And the huge crowds that they were going to have, they only let in the parents. So when you
That's
saw
why they
like,
moved it too.
when you saw like the dodgeball games and whatever, the only people in there were the parents of the participants. This,
oh my God.
This is just a complete train wreck. And the fact that she is kind of jokingly talking about it in terms of the Hunger Games. Did you read the Hunger Games? Did you watch the movies? This is not something that is a positive comparison. This is something that was obviously just a horrible idea from the start, horribly executed, and really should be panned.
I'd like
And
to
with
know
all
whose
thanks to this
idea this
administration,
was.
this is costing us millions of dollars. This
do we
is coming
know-
out of that budget.
Do we know who did this, like specifically? Like who thought of this? I'm really curious because listen, I know that like typically Republicans are much better, like the strategist people. I mean, the people behind the scenes that are doing a lot of stuff. They're better at knowing how something's gonna be received. Right? Like they're better at they knew who thought this could be spun well. Like who thought that this idea was going to be, especially now with the economy the way that it is. And like who really thought, you know what, I think this is going to be just fine. And we're going to even say it's like the Hunger Games. Like
I think Blue Kansas, it could have been Stephen Miller. I don't think we know, but I do know Trump liked the idea. And I think the thought is going to be a bunch of Aryan kids, white kids, as Chris said, this is mostly white kids showing the superiority of their athleticism, and that is not what we're seeing. So
no, I mean that's
whatever. This to me,
I understand why they thought. I get why the racists like this. Why I get why the friends of Nazis thought this was fantastic. But I'm just saying the people who strategize are usually the ones that like know how to take that and message it a little bit better or like package it better, right? They're oftentimes better at selling it. And I think people thought that this was stupid, gross, racist. Like they're all the thing. Everybody clocked it right away. Like as even people that are in their own party were like,
and
no,
remember, Kristi Noem did not lose her job because of the horrible things that ICE has done.
Right.
She lost her job because she embarrassed Trump. And one of her grand ideas was going to be a reality show where you competed for U.S. citizenship. So
yes, right. I forgot about that.
That feels very in line with this. And had she just not embarrassed Trump, we would, after the Patriot Games, be watching Who Wants to Be an American?
America's Next Citizen. Yeah. I think that you're right. Maybe this was Kristi Noem's idea. And they just took it and ran with it.
All right. Well, pivoting to something else that's shitty.
I do have more footage about, by the way, if anybody's interested. I haven't edited my video, but if you want, like I'll post it like this weekend, the one on this.
Yeah, I limited it to these two clips because I just did not.
I know.
Bad enough. Okay, so this happened. Casey, did this happen this week? Well, let's watch this clip.
Record this. You almost ran us over.
I didn't almost
you
run
almost ran us over.
You're
Stop
so
playing.
full of shit.
Stop playing.
You are full of shit.
All right? You're not funny.
You're not funny.
I will arrest you. Keep it up.
I'm a legal citizen.
Keep it up. I don't care.
Oh my goodness.
I'll put your lock you up.
Okay. For what?
The one that tried to run us over.
Run you over when? I got recording. I got dash cam. That's a lie. Y'all fucking full of shit. You're full of shit. I got a dash cam. I never tried to run you over. You a hoe. You're fucked up. Turn left. Then turn right.
I love this lady, by the way.
She's great.
I mean,
This
she's
was only
on
a couple
fire.
days
I
ago.
will admit that, but
She's lucky she's alive.
they aimed a gun at her.
I know, that's what I said.
Yes, they did.
So her name is Carolina or Carolina, but I assume it's Carolina Molina. And so this was in Falls Church. This is right around the corner from me. And Dogwood, which is a courier channel, posted this video on Wednesday. I can't find any information about when this happened, but it's her dash cam video footage that she shares, obviously. And it's like she basically said, those insults at them, and that's why they came at her. They have fragile egos. She insulted them, which is, very constitutionally permitted. But instead of just being like, a reasonable person that can regulate their emotions, they jumped on her and pulled out a gun, like right at her face. And if you'll notice, by the time she says dash cams, they start booking it. Like as soon as they realize she's got recordings, they are out of there because that they know that.
Yeah.
But this, to me, a couple things. I mean, ICE has been doing this from the beginning, and we know that, and we've reported on that. The reason why I thought this was so interesting is because Virginia, especially Northern Virginia, we are like a community of immigrants. Like we care about our immigrants, and we patronize their businesses. Like that's like one of the things that we're proud of, right? That we have people that have small businesses and restaurants that come from everywhere, and that's kind of the whole thing. Is we say you can get great food here because you go to these small mom and pop places. And so, yes, like 100%, like everywhere, there's wide ranges of income, but there's also a lot of diversity here. And people are not going to fuck with it. Like the idea that you could get pulled over by somebody that pulls a weapon on you so quickly, the suburban YNOMs will never, like they will never allow this. I'm surprised at how quickly and how sunshining, like how like open, like, right? This is very, like, none of this is shielded in a back alley is what I'm saying. It's very prominent, and others were around and could see it and film it and prove it is what I'm saying, with ring cameras, because they're in a residential area there, or a office area.
We have
rather.
to also make sure we note that they immediately were saying, "Oh, you tried to kill us with your car," or whatever. And this is their thing. They always say that shit. There is no evidence certainly on this video that is what she did. And she
their lawyers told them that, right? It's like, so whoever is consulting them,
that is part of they're very poorly trained, but they are trained to say that.
When they're orientated, they are told to say that, yes, because we know a car is a weapon, because we know that the Supreme Court has been friendly with law enforcement, and we know that car is a weapon, and so they can use that, they can search it, they can do all this stuff, and they know that, so they're gonna lie, which is why everyone watching this needs to get a dash cam and make sure that you have one. And I know things cost money now, everything's expensive, but you need to prioritize this for your safety and your family's safety, because it needs to upload to the cloud as you're driving. You shouldn't have to do it yourself. It should automatically do that. You need one that's like a pretty good quality, because if you get the cheap kind, I think they don't do that, and it's not going to be worth it to you. But you need to have this on your car, and preferably visibly, because I think they need to see that they're being recorded, because then that's going to de-escalate some of this behavior, because they realize that they're scrutinized. As we saw, they back down. But they also looked at this woman and said, that might be an immigrant. Like we can also terrorize her. And that's the other thing about this, is that you can't tell me that if it was a blonde lady in a Lululemon outfit that said those things, that they would have acted that way to her. That's the other thing. Like, I think that they're pushing people that they think they can push.
They already shot and killed a blonde lady not too long ago in a minivan.
That is true. But they also knew she was a lesbian. So that was a whole other factor there.
Right.
What's so upsetting too is he has a distinct accent.
Yep.
And one would think that you would have empathy, but clearly not. The only thing that I take some solace in is you have a very clear picture of his eyes.
Yes, you do.
You hear his voice.
This man.
You hear his voice very clearly. He is wearing short sleeves, and so you can see his tattoos. And so
somebody knows who he is.
Somebody knows who he is. Identifying him will not be that difficult.
But the problem is that they keep hiring these people.
When we get the right people in the administration that are wanting justice, they can subpoena the payroll. And they can do some research here. You know what I mean? Like, where were you? Blah, blah, blah. So these people who think, oh, I'm covering my face. This is not forever. This is not forever. And I don't know where the hackers are, but
I got to go back and look and see what the Virginia law is. I thought we were telling them they had to uncover their faces. Like, I didn't know they could do that.
We have a law in California. It is not enforced. It is not enforced. Because they're federal agents. You can have laws.
Yeah, I get it. But I
But-
tagged Abigail Spanberger because she, that was her whole deal, was like she worked for the CIA. Like she's got like connections. She's a little bit harder when it comes to pushing back on this administration. So I tagged all my representatives, by the way, which I encourage you to do as well, whether you're in Virginia or wherever you are, anytime you see this, and also to share it with your neighbors, because I'm telling you right now, like people think there are people that have the perception that the reason that people are getting into these ICE encounters is because they're showing up to protest and that they are picking the fight, as opposed to somebody that's driving by and is like,
Minding
you're
their
doing
business.
terrible
This
work, which is valid and constant. You should be able to scream obscenities at people that are doing terrible things and not have them pull a gun in your face. That you should be
They're
protected.
so fragile. Like what the hell?
Yeah,
Well, remember that woman?
so fragile.
She was actually, I believe she was autistic, but she was definitely in the disabled community. She was just trying to get to her appointment.
Yeah.
And they dragged her out of the freaking car.
Yeah.
Same thing. You're trying
Next
to
to Linda, right? Yeah.
They don't like women.
Name.
They don't, these are all men that are misogynist. They don't like when a woman challenges them. And there's a lot to be said in some of the, in some of these communities, because we've seen it also it's the reason why they're cozying up to the Trump administration when they shouldn't, because it's like, why would anybody that's from a Latin American country or South American country or anybody with brown skin support this administration? Clearly, well, because there is this like sort of machismo or like whatever, like it's I have proximity to greatness and I will be better than you, and that's and this is the right, this is where men should be, and this is how men should be treated, and that patriarchal bullshit that just exists. So the second that a woman stands up to them, I think that just, it escalates things even higher than it normally would, because not only are you challenging their authority as a person that works with ICE or a law enforcement officer as they see themselves, but also as their authority as a man, which is even more.
This is like if you were driving through a seatbelt check, right? I don't know if you guys have ever
That's right.
had
Yeah.
that. And you were annoyed about it because it made you late for whatever you were doing, and you flipped off the cop, which I mean, I personally wouldn't do, but some people would, and they didn't like that, pulled you over, came out at gunpoint when there is absolutely no reason, you are no threat, there was no crime or even a violation committed, and they point the gun right in your face. I mean, this is just absolutely nuts. Or, as Chris Webb might tell you, it's like what driving while black is.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the courts have said this isn't allowed. So by the way, like it's not it's very clear that this is not allowed.
Clearly unconstitutional.
There's no line. I want y'all to know that I'm not even a lawyer. I just took some con law classes, and even I know that there's nothing here. Nothing. They don't have any.
We're going to pivot to this other clip because this is important. This is we found out this week about stun gloves. And I chose this clip because it tells you a little bit more about how they operate. But I froze this picture of this dude with this gun. Imagine, with the stun gloves, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
So here we go. Let's watch this.
Tactics already facing fierce scrutiny. Tonight, the Department of Homeland Security is planning to spend up to $20 million on specialized gloves agents can use to incapacitate someone with an electric shock simply by touching them. DHS describing them as de-escalation devices, saying their officers are trained in use of force.
Give me your hands. Give me your hands.
The technology called the glove, or generated low output voltage emitter, seen here in a demo from the manufacturer.
You ready? Here you go.
In a manual, the company Compliant Technologies recommends avoiding use on the elderly, small children, pregnant women, and the severely handicapped. This comes.
I'm going to pause there because there's more to see here, but these people they have no judgment. I just described them pulling a disabled woman out of a car. So do we think they're going to be able to say, oh, this is an elderly person or a pregnant woman?
But even beyond that,
they do not give a fuck. They don't
even
care.
Beyond that, the basis of this thing right here, this is bad form anyway, because when you use electric shocks on people, like in close proximity, okay, I want you to know, like, one thing to use a taser, you're far enough away. When you use this, you're touching someone, and somebody's response to pain, everybody's different. but a lot of people immediately like their hands fling back or fling out or whatever.
Yeah.
And so what is that going to do? That's going to
assaulted an officer.
Exactly. And or, oh, they're reaching for a gun or they're trying to do this or whatever. And that's going to cause more, like, not only is it not going to de-escalate, but it's going to legitimize violence.
This is so diabolical. I mean, it's just, yeah.
This is
so,
it's really bad. Yeah.
Let's continue.
This comes as another ICE confrontation is under the microscope. Virginia mother Carolina Molina says an ICE agent seen here brandished his gun after she shouted at federal agents detaining people.
The one that tried to run us over.
The agents accuse her of trying to run them over, which Molina says this dash cam video shows is false.
When I saw him pull in front of me and take the gun out, because as he's walking up, the gun is already out, and then he starts pointing it at me.
In a statement tonight, the Department of Homeland Security again accused Molina of trying to harm agents with her car during an operation, which she strongly denies. Molina could face, the department says, criminal charges, although they didn't specify for what.
So they keep lying.
Why don't they get a
even
lawyer?
though
I
there's
don't
no
think people
proof.
sue them.
And then
just get
I just
a
want to
lawyer.
add really important context here. Department of Homeland Security already said, so there's budget for body cams. They will only show the body cam footage if it benefits ICE agents. They were very clear on that. So we will never see any of this footage unless they keep, manipulate it in some way that shows that they were in the right. You're not going to see the whole thing. Nothing can be trusted with these people. So we're trusting them with these electric shock gloves. And here's the thing, though, that someone pointed out. If you, they have to touch skin. They don't, apparently they don't work through clothing. So keep that in mind if you're going to a protest, an ICE protest or whatever. The other thing is these people have to get close enough to touch you. The guns do not. So there's a lot of like issues here with, like what is their intention here? Like, I feel like this is like, then you can add in the fact that they are like with Haitian people, they are forcing them to wear ankle monitors. And so to me, this is like this is like the gloves are like the modern day whip, this is like slave catcher shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
This is so
I think it's a really good analogy, and it's one that needs to be said because, like I said, it's not only everything that not only can you not trust these people, but everything that they're saying, it's the opposite of that. Everything is projection, everything is manipulation, everything is lies. So this isn't going to de-escalate. It's going to legitimize more violence from them that they can then take people out. They can kill people. They can justify shooting her, right? Or whatever they need to do because of the way that people are going to naturally react when you shock them, when you put volts of electricity into their body. And also, by the way, notwithstanding, you don't know if you have some sort of a heart condition or something. Maybe you're not elderly, but you have some sort of an issue. Like you shouldn't be running around.
You could have a pacemaker. If you have a pacemaker, that would fuck you up. You'd be dead.
That's right.
And there's no way to know that if they even cared. And Casey, to your point, that dash cam probably saved that woman's life.
100%.
They saw that and left.
They started leaving. That is exactly right, because they came for her and they were ready to escalate, and she had something to prove that, and they didn't know if it was working or uploading. They didn't know, so they were like, all right, we're out. That's what I mean. Everybody needs to have dash cams as a minimum to interface with these people. And I'm telling you, because park police, that's also federal, right? We have a lot of parkways and federal lands here in the Northern Virginia area. So like a lot of people commute along GW Parkway for one, which is where I drive a lot of the time. And I have seen park police out so much in the last several months. I never used to see park, like they'd be there periodically because obviously they have to maintain the roads and stuff, but I just didn't really see them. Now they're out trying to catch people. They're actively pulling people over. They're actively policing. I'm just saying, like, y'all need to know that these people are looking to get into conflict or looking to interact with you, and you need to have something to protect yourself, like this lady did. That's crazy. That's a busy area. right? Like where they're at in Falls Church. That's a this isn't like, they're not going to back alleys. They're not going to small neighborhoods, and they're not going to protests where they could have reasonable cover, like, of deniability. This is just a woman trying to get somewhere. And I don't know, they were on an errand trying to deport somebody probably. And she said something that ruffled their fragile egos. And so they lashed out at her. And if she hadn't had a dash cam, I think you're 100% right. It would have escalated, or in the very least, they would have detained her.
So states need to respond to this. I was glad to see this video from New York, the governor and Letitia James.
That appears to me on its face to be a violation of civil rights. To cause that kind of physical harm to an individual, regardless of what the offense may be. And I would anticipate that the new protections that we just enacted in the law, just brand new, that says that you cannot trample on someone's constitutional rights and you cannot cause them undue harm, and you will be held accountable, should be in effect here.
Of course, we are outraged. And in the event that a New Yorker is injured as a result of these gloves, obviously there will be a private right of action as well as action from the state of New York. You can best be assured of that.
So I think every state, like, I would like my governor to speak on this. My representatives, but I think this is very new. And I noticed the language was, what did they say, $25 million? And I don't think they've actually been purchased. It said planning to purchase. So I think people need to speak on this, post on it on your socials. Hopefully this can go away. And we have history within the Trump administration of them backing down. I will say that there is things that we've been so vocal about that they have backed off. And I think that y'all speak on this, like, post about it and let folks know that this is, the language that the governor of New York said is this is a violation of civil rights. These are people with very poor training, and they're going to be given these crazy ass weapons. Not okay. Yeah, not okay.
You need to contact your governor, need to contact your attorney general, need to contact all the people in the states where ICE is present. I mean, just anywhere in general, just because it could be your city or town next, even if they're not there now.
So late breaking news, just to put a fine point on this, DHS purchased almost $500 million, $464 million in airplanes to deport folks, and they are sitting at the airport. They bought the airplanes, but do not have pilots and do not have maintenance staff to take care of them. So this is like our tax dollars that, waste, fraud, and abuse. It's just, I've never heard of this much waste, fraud, and abuse before Trump became president. So, I think that was important to note.
I would like to ask Adam, maybe he remembers what's going on here. Like, the last that I remember, we were talking about planes and deportations, they were actively ignoring judges, or actively remember when they were saying, oh, the plane had already taken off, and then it was very clearly proven that it hadn't. It was my understanding
headed to Venezuela
prior to all of this, that if you pull that kind of shit with a judge, especially a judge like that, you would not have a law career after that. How are these people getting away with doing that what's going on there? That's the last I heard on this.
I wish I could explain it and why there aren't a lot more contempt charges and grievances. That's what we call when a lawyer does something that's unethical, filed against some of these lawyers, which that's doing unethical things. Is how Rudy Giuliani lost his license to practice law.
Right.
They're directly lying to courts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're tampering with grand jury proceedings and later on admitting that they did it. And somehow,
there are improvable ways, is what I'm saying. Improvable ways that you can clearly see. That's crazy.
I actually caught and read a little bit of a piece today about that. First of all, judges usually are very slow to do anything like that. They like to give lawyers every benefit of the doubt, professional courtesy, so to speak. But another piece that I saw suggested that judges do not want to do that because they fear reprisals from the MAGA culture. And a lot of judges that have acted and put a stop to some of the things that Trump has done have faced a lot of harassment, death threats, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
it is
the
not
thesis
easy
was
being a
that
judge.
not a federal judge these days for sure. But
All
still,
right, so,
my
speaking of
opinion,
authoritarianism,
you do something that's improper in a court of law, you should face consequences, and the judge shouldn't hesitate.
Yeah.
So
Adam for judge.
Also,
I'm out, folks.
Bye, Adam.
Oh, bye, Adam.
It's just the three of us now.
Sorry, it's over midnight.
Crazy is, since we're talking about authoritarianism with ICE and all this shit, that can't, the gloves, the flock has been getting a lot of attention. And we have a video. Let's just play the fucking video.
we have a video.
Let me find the right one here.
It's just bad. Everything is terrible. I still gotta find. I don't know where it went, but I gotta look for it again because I saved the video and I can't find it. But the guy that's out in his yard chair, basically holding a giant sign, blocking the sign, and there's Freebird playing in the background, and it's the greatest video of that man just sitting there with his he's got his dark sunglasses on, he's just holding this thing up. That was great.
Okay, I'm gonna play this video. There's a couple here. I'm gonna play these back to back because they kind of relate.
The backlash against flock safety cameras is escalating, with some angry Americans destroying the cameras over fears about mass surveillance.
Flock cameras scan every single license plate. They also log identifying data like make, model, and color, and they're in at least 43 states. Police say they are critical in fighting crime, but other people say the technology is an invasion of privacy. So some are calling this vigilante vandalism, and the movement is spreading fast. Flock camera poles sawed in half in upstate New York, several covered in spray paint in Texas and Ohio. One California man was charged with a felony after running several over. Vandals are hitting every corner of America. One Minnesota town had all 8 flock cameras stolen in one night. Police say it cost $3,000 to replace each one, ultimately costing local taxpayers. But not all are resorting to vandalism. Carl Gunn in St. Petersburg, Florida, is peacefully protesting by what he is calling blocking the flock with a homemade sign. He believes the cameras are creating a surveillance network to track innocent people who aren't suspected of any criminal activity.
I don't want people to know where I go and when I go. That's my business, not anyone else's. If you take that away from us, that's the end of our freedom. And I don't want that to happen, not in my lifetime.
Businesses, schools, and HOAs can purchase the cameras, but their biggest customer is law enforcement. The St. Petersburg Police Department says their flock cameras retain video for only 30 days, photograph vehicles, not faces, and only use it for law enforcement purposes. Several cities across the U.S. have ended their contracts with Flock, including in Los Angeles. Democrat Mayor Karen Bass told the L.A. Times that Flock had, quote, lost the trust of Angelenos and residents across the country, especially in immigrant communities targeted by the federal administration, adding LAPD needs to identify another company that doesn't share data. I spoke to one California sheriff who remains confident in keeping them around.
These license plate readers.
Okay, so just to put a point on this, in Los Angeles, the contract was ended because they were sharing data with ICE. Okay, so so pivot to this. These flock people, the representatives, are lying.
Flock does not track people, correct? Track people, that's right, and hold their movements like you asked. We're not tracking people. But what do the Condor cameras do? They literally are designed to track a person, aren't they? Not to track a person, no.
This is a flock camera known as a Condor. Unlike the Falcon license plate reader camera, you'll notice this does track the movements of people. Whether or not it was designed to specifically track a person, you can see right now, in real time, no matter which way I move, the camera moves with me. And this video is sent right back to the police department.
To alert you when it sees human movement.
and it will actually acquire and track that person as they walk or people.
When I walked down the path and I moved, the camera followed me.
There's an object detection feature that you can set up. It's called Guardian mode, that allows the camera to just know if there's movement from a person in the screen. It is not tracking where you're going to go, where you're going to leave, where you're going to start and stop.
These started popping up weeks after hearing Flock say these only record license plates. They don't take pictures of people.
That security researcher, Ben Jordan, found the same Condor camera streaming openly online. No password required.
Did you hear that? It was live streaming and you didn't need a password to see it. And the language that they're using, he's like, oh, it's not tracking people, it's just following them. Like, what's the difference? It's like
that's crazy.
A distinction without a difference. Then here's another clip.
Flock?
What?
Are you with Flock?
No, there's a construction firm I work with, CSD.
This man, James Boyce, is a former British Army veteran and a current Flock supply chain manager. Not only did he lie about working for Flock, which I'm guessing is probably normal at this company, but he also implied to Georgia law enforcement that I could have been armed, and we'll soon see if that puts my life in danger. You guys have done nothing wrong. Actually, we've also done nothing wrong, and yet we're blockaded by a police officer. Are we being detained?
The manager wants to speak.
It's a yes or no question, sir.
You're going to wait here until the manager talks to you.
You're holding me until that guy talks, but you're not telling me if I'm going to be detained. Yeah, you are. Am I allowed to leave? Can I go in my car and leave? They are with Flock Safety. They just confirmed.
How you doing?
Hey,
I'm good.
What's up, brother?
Hi, how you doing, sir?
Good.
So, tell him what you need to tell. So, gentlemen, I just want to be very clear. There's a multi-tenant site here with a lot of people that are just trying to work. I've got yourself and everyone running in the street. I had to put my brakes on just to stop to make sure you're okay.
Are you safe right now, sir?
Well, I don't know that, do I? So I just want to make sure. We've had reports that you've been to basically every Flock Safety site and facility that you know of. And
correct.
Yeah. So
your surveillance is correct. We're doing our own surveillance.
So people don't really feel safe right now with people randomly trying to get into our sites and buildings.
Oh, wait. You don't feel safe being surveilled. Is that what you're saying?
Not at all, sir.
Because that's what you guys do to us without our consent.
Okay.
And I think it's interesting when you guys have this happen, you call the police and make us get stopped. But then you do it and it's okay?
I mean, our devices will call the police regard. What we'd like you to do is, basically we're saying that you're trespassing on this site and we'd like you to leave peace.
So,
really?
So the Flock
really?
President came out today and said that they are submitting to the will of the people that they have seen the concerns, and they're going to make some changes that will be implemented on by January 1st. And that includes things such as, instead of keeping everything for 30 days, it'll be 7 days. That instead of the police having unlimited access, that they will have to submit a specific request for a specific case number in order to get access to stuff, whatever. The point is, all of this should be Fourth Amendment violation. All of this, because none of this requires a judge. All of this is done with the private company and whoever buys the product. So that's the overall issue. And oh no, if something gets damaged, it's going to cost $3,000 a thing. Maybe the town should then decide not to put one back up because it's going to be too expensive. I've heard people have said that the metal in it is worth more than a catalytic converter. I don't know that to be true.
I guess it has copper.
I have heard.
It would be a shame if
it would be
vandals defaced them.
Gosh.
But sometimes things have to be done.
Yeah. What a shame that would be, to tear them down and use them for parts
in this economy.
Yeah.
A converter is 4K. What?
All
okay.
Right. Well,
I hate this, by the way. I just want to say, because that guy's accent was really sexy and I'm really upset about it.
Oh, I wanted to point this out. People are making businesses out of Flock. Okay, so watch this.
A flock camera right there, and this is a laser pointer. They're not a good.
I'm not
mix,
trying to sell
especially when you have a
stuff for this
powerful
guy,
one like this. Look at the beam.
but he's
It's
selling
absolutely
laser
amazing.
pointers. You
I'll
can
put a
actually
link for you down below if you want your own laser.
So people
pointer.
are just
This
like getting
content,
creative
go ahead
here, and
click
they're
the
like,
link down below to
"I'm
click
gonna
on up
start
today.
doing laser pointers for sale just so you can fuck up Flock." I will say this: London specifically. I don't know about the rest of the UK, but London, cameras everywhere. They are not called Flock, but they watch. You could literally follow a person all through London. It's controversial there too. They have vandalized them there too. So people don't like this Big Brother thing, Big Brother watching.
The
Where are my
CCTV,
libertarians?
the CCTV in London or whatever. CCTV. Yeah. But to be fair, like it's been used at least in part to help actually find criminals and things that are, protecting people. If the critics there, this is obviously not doing that. And I mean, we've seen this before because remember, part of the reason that administration wanted to do away with masks is that it compromises their facial recognition programs too. And especially an administration like this that's using it to deport people and God knows what else. So none of the technology is being used to help us. It's all to hurt us.
Yeah. I mean,
sucks.
Nobody wants this shit. We have cameras in LA. Apparently their contract is over. I don't know, but they're all over here. And people are always like, what are those cameras? Because we have the cameras that give you tickets. And these look different. They're not like that.
Right.
All right. So we reached a part so we have 82 days before
82 is
the election.
nuts.
Yeah. So
that's
each
crazy.
week we are talking about two candidates. We've been posting about them. So we're just highlighting two candidates, right? We're mainly focused on the Senate right now because they need a lot of highlighting, right? But we will be doing governor races, congressional races throughout the country, mainly focused on flippable seats or flippable or seats that we need to protect. So today we're highlighting Mary Peltola and Annie Andrews. So let's look at a video from Mary first. Here we go.
This is a rigged system in Washington, D.C. I saw it firsthand. The 2 years that I worked there, I was shocked. It is not a system where bills are before you and you're working for people. It's a system where attack ads are created. With your tax dollars, the system in Congress is designed to make attack ads on those of us from districts that can win. We have got to stop this. We've got to enact term limits. We've got to stop the insider trading. We've got to stop the ability for people to line their own pockets. Congress is half millionaires and billionaires. It was not designed for that. It was designed to reflect everyone here. The working people of Alaska, the working people of our beautiful country.
So Mary served, what was it, two years before? And she won a special election. So she knows what she's getting into. So when she talks about corruption, she's just not bullshitting. She saw firsthand. I'm just putting a little bit of her platform on the screen. What else do y'all want to say about her? Because I love her. She's just great. And she's.
I will say that the Senate was 100% designed for the millionaires and billionaires of the time. But I get her point.
Yeah,
I get her point.
That's fine.
Well, she is not one of those.
Yeah.
So that's her. Boost her, folks. Look at her social media. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I cannot stress enough how significant getting some of these women, these Indigenous women, these candidates that are representing marginalized groups is going to change the fabric of this country. And it will not happen right away, but I so promise you that what these people bring in addition to, being strong leaders is that they have different perspectives and point of views, and they're going to be able to look at situations, problems from a different vantage point. And what we see every single time, by the way, to the people who critique DEI, is that these types of programs, when they're implemented correctly in this way, is that it helps all of us. Everybody does better. So this whole idea of, I don't want you to do better, you're going to do better. Like everybody, because if they do better, you're going to do better. So everybody's going to do better. And I don't think people realize and recognize what a difference this is going to make. So somebody like this, that even though they're in Alaska, and even though you're like, oh, I don't live in Alaska, I don't know anybody in Alaska, it's going to make a big deal. It's a big deal for our country, and our democracy. And yes, we will have that, and we are going to have that. So let's rebuild it and rebuild it better. And people like this are going to help that.
So one of her signature issues is fighting trawlers. And so trying to protect, because there's a lot of local fishing going on, and then you have these corporations that are basically ruining it for the local. You're talking about indigenous people. This is a lot of their livelihood, right? Fishing.
Yeah.
So that's getting ruined. So she's speaking to the locals. This is her opponent, Dan Sullivan. He's been in Washington for 12 years. And she has her plan, right? What else do we want to say about her? I think we're good there. Oh, here's him again. Her opponent, Dan Sullivan, of course, voted for the big, beautiful bill, which healthcare cuts, Medicaid cuts, food assistant cuts, higher costs. It's bad for Alaska. And here he is actually standing with Donald Trump signing it.
Oh, I forgot to send you my Dan Sullivan one. I accidentally, so Chris does the graphics, and sometimes I do them. Not as well, obviously, but I am learning, because that's how you learn.
You're doing good.
And I made a Dan Sullivan one, and I forgot to send it because I had so much fun. He's awful. Like, I was trying to remember what I found about him that was so bad. Oh, here it is. Like, he spent $1.52 million on lodging, like hotels, catering, food, and beverage. But Alaska's cost of living, meanwhile, is 24% higher than the national average, and he's out there supporting tariffs. Like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy, Alaska. Like, this guy's doing literally the opposite of helping you. Like, just not only is he not helping you, he's like hurting you, like actively. Yeah. That's crazy. Like, the fact that he's and the sale of public lands. Like, that's wild to be living in Alaska and being like, yeah, it's great.
It's really sad. Really sad.
My God. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to Annie Andrews and play this clip, which I did post this earlier in the week, and it did really well. People responded to it.
Pediatrician senator.
She's great.
And I can go up there and go toe-to-toe with RFK Jr.
What would you ask RFK Jr.?
Oh, so many things.
So you're not a career politician. You're a doctor. But you threw your hat in the ring to run for Senate.
When I was 4 years old, I wanted to be a doctor, and my whole life revolved around achieving that goal, practicing as a pediatrician. But after 15 years of understanding the impacts of policies on my patients and their families, I started to understand the importance of politics. But I actually decided to get in this race the day RFK Jr. was nominated to lead HHS. My entire worldview is from my 20 years working on the front lines of America's broken healthcare system. I would go to work and take care of kids who, when they go home, their parents don't know where their next meal is coming from. They have to ask me, how much is that inhaler going to cost, or how much is that insulin going to cost? And then, of course, like most pediatricians in this country, I have cared for children who have been shot. So all of those are policy failures. And as a pediatrician, I understood that I had agency, I had this lived experience, and I could apply it to, advocacy first. And then once I realized talking to lawmakers who don't inherently care about America's children was not a path to catalyze change, I understood we have to elect people who inherently care if we really want to see change. We have a people-powered movement. Our average donation is $26. We don't take corporate PAC money, and we've raised over $11 million. So we are in a position to win, but it's going to take people from all across the country believing that it's possible. And if we as Democrats ever want to reliably expand the Senate map, that's going to take investment in the South. And no better opportunity than to invest in the South than this year, when we have this unexpected open Senate seat and a candidate like me who's put in the work to build a winning campaign.
Yay!
So go ahead, Casey. Talk about her.
I love her. And I love her for that answer especially, because she knows why she's run, and it's legitimate, okay? Because everybody is affected by politics. But a lot of people say, oh, I don't like politics. And as a teacher, I'm the first person to say, I really loved teaching. I enjoyed it. But you know what? there was a lot that I couldn't do because of politics, because of politicians, because of policy and legislation. And then I realized I could do more outside of the classroom than I can inside. And so what she's seeing as a politician is there's a real need in South Carolina for representation that actually supports South Carolinians, that actually helps the people, not the billionaires, the millionaires, all these other people that historically have been favored that way. And so a lot of people have discounted South Carolina. They've just said, oh, it's a red state, it's not in play. And she's like, no, it is, because these are bipartisan issues. These are things that everyone needs. Healthcare for children, like the family should have access to healthcare and be able to give their kids insulin and be able to give their kids an inhaler. Like that's crazy that we don't have that. And she recognizes that. So she has the expertise that she's bringing to the field, but she also can be a who do you think politicians are? I mean, they're oftentimes business people that just made a lot of money and said, I can make more money doing this. And that's what they did. Instead, this woman's like, I'm going to come try to change and make the world a better place. So to me, this is the perfect candidate, somebody that saw a need for change and decided that I'm going to be that change. And she has the expertise and knowledge. She's raised money without using PACs. She's held true to what she believes in, which is, we're not gonna make this a profit-seeking game here. I'm a public servant. That's what I'm here to do, and so I'm not gonna make money off of that. I think it's refreshing, and I think that, as I've said before, people are so upset about the economy right now. People are so frustrated with this administration that if ever there was a time that a Republican could find a way in a southern state, now is the time, especially with these open seats. And she's got two competitors that are using all their money to fight each other neck and neck in this runoff. And here she is, and she's been here for over a year now. Well over it's been like a year and a half, I think, now that she's been out on the trail. So Chris, do you want to add? Chris Q, you want to add to that? Because I just, there's nothing about her that I don't like.
Her social media game is really good.
Oh, yeah,
she's really torn up the idea that what on earth does Lindsey Graham's sister, how does she have any business being in this position, and making that very clear. And she's an outstanding speaker, just comes across as incredibly authentic, and something you can't really teach. So I have a lot of faith in her that this is a legitimate opportunity for a pickup.
And I'm not even just like, oh, I think she could win. I'm excited for South Carolina because I think if she won, she would do good things. And that's important because it's hard to get excited about candidates nowadays, because a lot of times we see things and we're like, oh, well, but and she is somebody that I feel is very passionate but very smart and understands. So she's going to work within the confines of the system to make things better. And she's going to be a collaborator. And I think for South Carolina, who has had Lindsey Graham for as long as I've been alive, I think or Lindsey Graham likeness. This is the first time that I really have hope for South Carolina that you're going to get representation that truly does make an impact for your state. So that's how I found her, was through social media. At some point I saw a video of hers.
So I don't know if it's not certain, but we can say Darlene Graham is the presumptive nominee, I guess, because there's a runoff, but she's the one that Trump endorsed. List her qualifications, you guys.
None. Listen, I have a video that I haven't finished editing yet that I pulled over on the side of the road with my dog, okay? Because this woman was like, well, I wasn't handed this seat. I'm like, ma'am, what do you mean?
Yeah,
they literally said, here's the end of the term for you. And by the way, the fact that she changed her name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Back to Darlene Graham. And I want to make a point about this because it's really important. A lot of people out here watching this think you know what DEI is, and you don't. But you know what it is? It's thinking that because you're related to a man that was a senator, that somehow you can go do that job. That's DEI. That's the DEI you think it is. That's not actually DEI. That's the incorrect assumption. DEI is not that. That's nepotism. That's favoritism. That's not DEI. So it's crazy to me that the party that's always screaming DEI wrongly, is using it in this situation, isn't saying anything about the fact that this woman had no qualifications to be in this office whatsoever, that she, not only does she not have those qualifications, but she knows she doesn't have those qualifications. So she changed her name so you would know she's related to her brother. So, like, once again, I stress, it's not just that she doesn't have the qualifications, it's that she knows she's unqualified, and she's using her connection to her dead brother as a way to secure the nomination. That means she does not care about the state of South Carolina because she's not qualified to do this. And by the way, also, I would like to point out that we didn't even know who you were until your brother dropped dead. So it's not like you were out there doing good things for South Carolina, because I'd never heard who you were. I've heard Annie Andrews has been out there trying to make change for at least a year and a half now. Where have you come from? Nowhere. Like, I don't even know. Were you even in South Carolina? I don't even know if she lived there. I don't know what she was doing.
Casey, you said, Lindsey Graham's been there as long as I've been alive. No, since I think 2002. Whose seat did he take?
What's his
Do you
face?
remember?
I do.
Strom Thurmond. So
who was there since I was alive? That's right.
Well, who was there since your grandparents were alive? I mean, he ran for president against Truman. So, so
that's right.
That seat has been in some bad hands for a long time.
And by the way, Strom Thurmond, like, everybody go spend some time. That guy, speaking of terrible people, like one of the worst, like, truly.
So she would be a major upgrade.
Such an upgrade. Not Darlene. Dr. Andrews.
Dr. Andrews would be
just to clarify, but Darlene fits in with the status quo. She is just like more of the same. She's just going to scratch the backs of her besties that have millions and gajillions of dollars. And I'm tired of paying people to just go there and make deals that benefit their people instead of the people of South Carolina and other states. So anyway, South Carolina, tell your friends, because this is in play. I promise you it's in play. I think everybody, I keep saying this every single week, but I know I'm right about this. The Democrats are going to pick up more offices than they think they are. And that's because of people are so frustrated. So I'm saying aim even higher. You need to aim higher. You need to aim higher than you think you can hit, because I think you might hit this time.
All right, one more thing here. Well, one of the more things here. So I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but watch this video.
Trump's biggest critics on the right might be planning something that could shake up the 2028 election. A group of prominent conservatives met this weekend at Tucker Carlson's home in Maine to discuss what could become a new third-party political movement. We're talking Carlson, Representative Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and former Trump official Joe Kent. And the issue bringing them together? Foreign policy.
Trump has been disloyal to the United States, totally disloyal to the United States. He cheated on the United States with a foreign power.
Greene accused Trump of breaking his promise to keep America out of foreign wars, writing, "He's betrayed us all. The movement has begun." Carlson, Greene, and Massie all backed Trump in 2024. But now they're encouraging Tucker Carlson to run for president, although he's reportedly not interested. Their proposed platform would focus almost entirely on ending U.S. military involvement in foreign conflicts. But launching a viable third party is almost impossible. They're up against steep ballot access requirements and fundraising challenges. History isn't on their side. Take Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s 2024 independent campaign, for example. He dropped out months before Election Day when he endorsed Trump. So the question now for the former Trump allies, is this just venting frustration, or is this the beginning of...
Okay. This is a fool's errand. However,
Chris,
please do it.
Exactly.
So
this is a great idea. This is a wonderful idea. They should keep this up.
We know Democrats, one thing we know is third parties are not helpful. So
ask Ross Perot.
When I saw this, I was like, please do this, because you know who this is.
Tucker Carlson for president. I will get that bumper sticker.
we have got to start pulling out some clips and putting them together for things like this, because I know damn well that I have said every single one of those people we're going to spin off, because they're just primed for it. They're primed for it. And this is what I said last week, and what I keep saying about not letting these characters pretend to be people that care about this country, because what they realize is that the stock of MAGA is down, and they now know that it's not profitable to be a Republican. So they're rebranding themselves as something else. Now, I too would like to see this happen for all the reasons you just mentioned. But this is to the other people that might be tempted to think, oh, maybe there's a way in to be Republican. No, there's not. There's not. The Republican Party has nothing but racism. That's really just what it is at this point. They like guns and racism. That there you go. So I guess if you're into that, that's for you. But for everybody else, there's no financial solvency in this, right? They don't have any expertise in terms of managing our military. Obviously, we literally have military service members jumping off of aircraft carriers so that they can get out of the tortured deployments that they're on right now, because they're not feeding our military service members. They're like in horrible conditions. So they can't run an economy. They can't run a military. Like they can't run any kind of protections for us, because we can't even have fucking salads this summer. So I'm tired of people acting like there's anything to talk about in terms of the Republican Party. Oh, both parties are the same. No, there's not. The Democrats they actually have a policy platform. The Republicans don't. They truly don't. They're not doing anything or achieving anything. So these characters that they're playing are going to try to spin off and create like a new branch, and it's going to be some sort of patriotic bullshit. I don't know. Not Tea Party. What have we done? Tea Party, MAGA. What was the other one that I'm blanking on, Chris? Like the most recent one. Not the Tea Party people, but the other conservative
Freedom Caucus.
Was that it? Yeah. It was like the
Freedom
Libertarians love this kind of stuff. And I'm telling you right now, it's the same old, same old. They're trying to make money. Let them do it, but do not support them. Like, just encourage them publicly, but privately don't vote for them, is what I'm saying.
Well, they're not stupid.
Unless you're a MAGA Republican, in which case, yes, vote for them.
They're not
but
stupid,
only a little bit.
They absolutely know about 1992. For anybody that doesn't know.
Yeah.
So Ross Perot was the most successful third-party candidate in probably American history in terms of what the current established two-party system. I just checked. He got 19% of the vote, which is huge for a third-party candidate. Well above anything that the Green Party or Libertarians have ever done. And he did not win one electoral vote. So,
I thought he won a state. I'm so confused. Oh man, I thought that was the big deal about him. Okay, well maybe it's just the 19% I remember.
So again, we've talked about this. Like Tucker Carlson.
That was also pre-Citizens United. Anyway,
Tucker Carlson's not stupid. You know, he knows that. So this whole effort, if they get this off the ground, it's all a grift. It's all.
But by the way, why was he so successful? I'm asking you why.
He was so successful because he was an oil billionaire that paid for his own campaign, so much so that he was able to purchase half an hour or hour, I think it was a half hour, block of prime time network TV time, huge cable or anything. So you're talking a massive amount of money. And the fact that the economy was trash at the time. So he leveraged his ideas about the economy and the fact that he was self-funded to get to that place. So
but what did he focus on? His platform was all about money. It was all about the economy. It was all about, because he's a businessman.
A flat tax. Yep.
And I'm not saying it was valid. I'm saying that he positioned himself as an expert on the economy. And nobody else had really done that. Like when we see the Green Party and all these other people that have emerged, it's usually like it's freedom or liberty or this or that, but it's not. Like, this was the economy, and he came out as an expert because he's a billionaire. He must be an expert, and people believed it. Obviously, a big chunk of this country did. So that's what I'm saying. Look for these people to do that, because that the economy and the Iran war are the two things that people are most discontented with this party, and they're going to say that they didn't realize that that this was such a government that was so unpatriotic and so opposed to the ideals of America, and they're going to give you this speech, this cinematic speech, and they're going to make money off of it. It's crazy. They're going to write books. They're going to do tours. They're going to have rallies because they saw how the rally did so well for Trump. So they're going to it's going to be like a concert, like Lollapalooza, but like with terrible politicians. And they're going to go place to place and make money off of y'all. And just, I guess, fine if they don't do anything else, but they will. They'll try. They always do. It's a grift.
So
yeah.
Your weekly reminder to check your voter registration. Voter rolls are under assault, all that kind of stuff, and remind your friends and family to do the same. Anything else for CTA this week?
Start looking up on local elections too.
That's what I was going to say. Local elections, but also if you, in addition to, I was going to say, whatever you're doing in your area, which is important, like prioritize your candidates, but also if you could amplify the content of Mary Patola and Dr. Annie Andrews, and share that out. If you see any of their content, please share it. Or if you see ours, obviously share it, but like, that's great too. But obviously highlight theirs, and tell somebody about it. Like tell anybody, like, oh, hey, did you know? Like, Lindsey Graham died, so now there's nobody there. Like we could actually have a Democrat in office. Wouldn't that be so cool? Like tell people about them.
I will say too, as I said earlier, we're doing 2 candidates a week, really well received. I think a lot of people out there on social they want to help and they realize, we're trying to flip seats. We're trying to bring attention to these candidates. So when they see you're highlighting someone and you're doing it in an impactful way, an informative way, they're boosting and they're really supportive. And so I would say even more so than when it comes directly from the campaign, because a lot of the campaign ads and posts don't really do as well. So thank you everyone for sharing the information, sharing the love on these candidates, and we're going to keep it going. So far so good. So so now we're on
best
to
of the worst.
Best of the worst. Chris, you go first.
This is by the way, this is a segment where we share something that's positive so we can end the show on a happy note. So it's not necessarily politically related. It's just something that's good.
It could be something in your life or something you saw this week, or it could be political too, if it's good.
It could be. It doesn't have to be. Yeah.
One of my favorite creators is economist Catherine Ann Edwards. If you're not following her, please do. It's Ked's Economist. And her podcast, Optimist Economy, this past week was about the importance of taking vacation and the fact that in the United States, that's not a priority, that we don't have guaranteed vacation like many other countries do, and that even people that get vacation often don't take it. And that if you want a really successful economy, you want people to take more vacation, both for mental health, for physical health, and also what they mentioned that I hadn't even really thought of is the practicality of it'll force more people into the workforce, because if everybody is forced to take 2 weeks of vacation, then staffing needs to be increased, and that again would benefit everyone. So I am finishing my last week at the shore. We go back to school next week, and this is Remy and Emmett right outside our house at the shore on the marsh, looking at the sunset. And this is my happy place. Beautiful. And this is really this has helped me just kind of decompress and be able to re-energize and focus on this last leg of going into November and kind of having the energy to go about that. And I'd encourage everyone out there to take a little bit of time to find something that gives you some joy, and remember that that's very important and that you can only give away what you have. So you need to take care of yourself as well.
I just like to add to that.
Save the world if you don't save yourself first.
Yeah. I would just like to add to that. Things are expensive. Travel's super expensive right now. Do a staycation, do something local that you enjoy. To Chris's point, it's about nurturing yourself and really treating yourself. So it could be something local, a short road trip, perhaps a day trip. Here in Los Angeles, my wife and I have driven to Santa Barbara just for the day. And it's honestly almost as good as spending the night, because hotels these days, you can't check in till 4. You got to check in. You got to check out by 11, and it's like you're exhausted by the time, like packing,
I was gonna
unpacking, all that.
say, traveling with kids is not a vacation for me. So
Yeah.
that's the thing, is like, if you can find a way to do something in a day, or even if you stay home and like find a way to like do something that's nurturing at your house for yourself, like there's ways. Just take time and decompress. Just get offline and go outside.
Casey, you're
Speaking of dogs,
Yeah.
I took Quinn to get her hair cut, and they were like, "Oh, did you want to do a back to school picture?" And I didn't really know, but I was like, "We don't have many pictures of her. She's not great sitting still, but I feel like she's such a happy.
But she does look happy.
And that's the thing, is she's such a happy dog, and I feel like I always want to get pictures of her when she's happy, because she is just the sweetest girl. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And when I picked her up, and they're like, "Oh, her picture's hanging up over there," and I went and got it, and I was like, I was so glad I did this. And I was like, she looked so cute and happy, and I just thought it was so sweet. And I think that was an example of something where I was like, "Oh, I guess that's cute." Like, and then I was like, all right, that's sweet that we did that. So I just thought it made me happy that she was so
beautiful. She's
sweet
so cute.
girl. Just the sweetest.
All right. So I don't have a dog. But this made me happy this week. And this is political, I will say. But we came off of that really divisive election in Michigan. And I thought this was just great, this coming together. So watch this clip. This is side by side.
Colleague and friend, Congresswoman Haley Stevens, we shared a great conversation this morning. And I know that it was a bitter end to this very long primary, but I also know that Haley brings the best of herself to her work. She is one of the most committed public servants that you'll ever meet. She loves democracy like I love democracy. And whatever differences that we might have had in the primary, they pale in comparison to what unifies us. A recognition that so long as we want to keep our democracy, that democracy better be working for people, and that all of us have to come together to make sure that we never let Mike Rogers see the inside of the U.S. Senate. So, Congresswoman, thank you for your race.
Tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us, like the ceiling can't hold.
I just love that, because that was such a divisive race. Not just between them, but like everybody on social media who was kind of invested in that, they were tearing each other down. And I just thought the speech he gave was immediately after the race, and then they did this, I don't know if you want to say unity tour, but they did a unity thing, and she's supposedly going to campaign for him. So that's a great example, and that's how it should be done.
I criticize Democrats on their messaging all the time, but like I just said, how Dr. Annie Andrews did it and got it right, and how the unity tour in Wisconsin is going to happen. This is excellent. I really could not say more about how well that speech was, because it wasn't a speech, right? It was him sharing his feelings with you. And that's important, because that's the authenticity piece that's missing from so many politicians. And here we have somebody that is authentic, like, that's what he really believes and feels. And he's lifting up other people in his message. And how long has it been since we've had somebody like doing that? And we have somebody actively doing the opposite of that, leading our country. And this is what Americans, I'm telling you right now, they're missing this so much. They're hungry and thirsty for this. They want fighters, but they also want authenticity. They want real people who understand the struggles that they have, that are out there championing, and making it not about them. And I also saw, I think it was, I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, I'm blanking on, I'm so sorry. I'll figure it out and I'll put it in post. But there's a politician that, somebody had made a jab at her, and she's like, "Oh, they mocked me. Like, who cares? Like, this is what I'm doing this for these people, for this, and they, instead of getting riled up or fragile in their feelings about the fact someone criticized them, they're like, I'm just here. I'm a public servant. I'm doing this stuff for you. I don't care if you don't like me. I'm here to get you health care. I'm here to get you to get livable wages. And that's what we haven't had, because we've had a bunch of egotistical maniacs in control. This is somebody that is making it about the service and not themselves. And that is such a nice thing to see. And I'm just really happy with how they both handled this right here.
And the fact, for me, he had me when he said my friend. After a race like that, he actually said my friend. So like, enough already. We're not fighting here.
They want to, people want to make it, people want to make it something it's not, because that sells papers, or like in the olden days that sells papers, that sells ads, like and that's just not what's here. These people are here to help you, and that's great. And Michigan should be really proud that they have that.
Yeah. So on that note, good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next Thursday at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Thanks again.
Good night.